Now, Respawn, just as a side note,
No.
Craig says he only records for 6 hours. So that means that we have to keep the podcast under 6 hours, minus ranting. Come on.
If we record for 6 hours, my wife will murder me. There will be no more parody.
I think I'll be murdered as well. Welcome to Two Titans and a Hunter, a Destiny 2 podcast. This week, we have all the Shadowkeep expansion news, information, and opinions, with Luke Smith's Director's Cut Parts 1, 2, and 3. Yes, and 3. We also have the This Week at Bungie for the 15th of August 2019, and the Armour 2.0 Vidoc breakdown. All for you, wrapped up in a lovely little bow with a nice cherry on the top. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up, guys?
No, I'm not doing voices this week. This is a serious podcast. We're here to get the information out in the
most thorough way possible.
Yes. I'm joined this week by Titan, who is looking more and more like a warlock as he pores over the pages of Luke Smith's version of War and Peace this week. He is, of course, Peroty. And I'm also joined by the self-professed king of the Vanguard, thanks to an email from Mr. Chubbs44 over on Xbox, who suggested Respawn be the next Hunter Vanguard.
I hail the king, praising you as our Lord and Savior, Night Demon.
Why are you swearing?
All right. I'm sorry. All hail the king, bruh!
Yeah, right. And finally, we have a guest. And no, it's not Paul Tassi, like every other podcast this week, but we have had somebody that you've all heard of before. Well, only if you've listened to this podcast. He has been with Destiny since the beta and helped carry me through my first Vault of Glass raid. It is the one and only Celestial Talons.
Put some applause in the background. Oh, yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. Celestial Talons, yay!
Hello.
What up? He's got to be a hunter if he curses too much.
What's up, guys?
See, can you tell look, Talons, you speak, and then...
What?
There you go.
Nope.
We sound different.
Nope.
We sound different. He sounds more like Houndish than I do.
It's like there's two Nintendo mans.
I hear two Houndishes. That's all I hear.
Right?
Oh, the voices. You think we have the same accents? They're the same.
I think you're the exact same person. I don't think you have the exact same accent. I think
you're just Night
Demon trying to use a very poorly made synthesizer.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Well, you don't have to ask. I'm doing this free of charge. You just kind of get it. But please is appreciated.
we know you're secretly Houndish. Don't stop trying to deny it.
Right.
We've been on to you.
So my comrade in arms here said that we're going to try to keep the cursing to a minimum, to which your response was, damn it. Right? So,
yeah. I work in software. My entire job is shouting at the computer until it does what I want. So
see? Thank you. Now, just so we clarify things right quick, what subclass do you play mostly?
Everything. I don't have a main. I've never had a main.
Oh, how interesting. Do you have one that maybe you
no hunter ally
more?
For you, buddy?
Do you enjoy playing Titan more? Do you enjoy playing Warlock more? Do you enjoy?
He's not a hunter. Just give up. He's not a hunter. You're on your own.
I want to specify whether it's 3 Titans against a hunter, or 2 Titans and a Warlock and a hunter, or what? I mean, come on. We need to have boundaries here. All right. I just want to know what he favors.
Lately, it's been edging more towards Warlock. There's more use of them right now.
Okay, so there you go. Now we have clarification.
There really is. Until that Weapons of Light comes back.
If you saw the post, you know what? That's in my notes. I'll wait till later to lose my mind about that. All right. So anyway,
so who wants to start? I'm guessing that I'll have to start because you seem to have got all the other notes, haven't you, Peroty?
All right, there we go. All right. I got notes. I'm babyless and I'm wifeless. Let's go.
Okay. So you're going to have to sit back, relax, and take this all in your stride, because this is going to be a hell of a lot of information that's going to be thrown at you.
I can do one of those things. If you want me to do all three, you're asking for
throw
stuff. No, I can sit back, But you're telling me to relax and take this in stride, that you might be pushing your luck.
Not you, people that listen to the show.
Oh, I thought you were warning me specifically to shut the hell up before you started this.
No, you're meant to be contributing to the show.
Right.
You're meant to have seen all the videos, read all the notes.
And therefore, everyone out there who doesn't understand what narcissism is, that was an example.
And our guest this week has quite a few opinions, because we've been talking over the last couple of weeks of, even I've alluded to it on the podcast, where you've been in and out of Destiny, Talons, haven't you, with how you feel about it, and then how you whether it's in a good place or a bad place. So
yeah, so it's a love-hate relationship. There's quite a lot of temper tantrums thrown from me, I think.
Yeah. I thought this week would be a good week to get you on and Respawn. And even seeing Peroty's notes, I'm just going to give you the same intro music for your rants. So it'd be Talon's tirades, Peroty's pontifications, and Respawn's rants.
Nice.
Perfect.
So this week we've been bombarded with a load of information. We've had the director, Luke Smith, giving us breakdowns of where the game is, where the game's going, and where the game's going even more. We've also had an Armor 2.0 breakdown with a Vidoc, with Deej, and a couple of the guys that have built the 2.0 armor set. And we've also had This Week at Bungie. And every single thing we've kind of collated and put it into a podcast for you this week. So we're going to start off with Luke Smith's Director's Cut Part 1. And Luke says that he thinks that transparency about the game is important. So they're making a lot of changes to Destiny 2 with Shadowkeep and New Light, and they want Destiny 2 to be an amazing action MMO in a single evolving world that you can play anytime, anywhere with your friends. Overall, there are some things about the annual pass that worked out very, very well, and some real learning curves for them along the way. The annual pass was a transition for us, they say, and we've been moving away from DLC and trying to provide more ongoing reasons to play Destiny. We set up a calendar of content, showed you the plan early, and delivered it. Destiny's history has had many content droughts, but not this year. The annual pass was harder on the team than they anticipated. So, working on the game was starting to wear people down, and they've given a few examples. And they say during the annual pass, they invented new, bespoke ways to earn rewards each season. So, Black Armory had its bounties, Season of Drifter had its reckoning machine, and Season of Opulence had its chalice. And each of these mechanisms, each with their own lessons, these were valuable, but also put the team into an unstable development cycle. So basically saying, even though they had help from those other studios, it was still quite a toll on the team. We needed to develop a more systemic, standardized set of mechanics for progression to keep our teams healthier. We're going to take this problem on in D2 Year 3.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of, that was his way of saying, we made you a lot of content, we delivered on all of it, but we killed ourselves doing it. And while there were no content droughts, I think they need to have some of those content droughts just to give them some breathing room as developers and to give us breathing room as players, because they've pushed out so much new content. It feels like running on a treadmill from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, and you don't have enough time to go back and enjoy, the forges. Now the Drifter is here in Reckoning. Oh, now Menagerie is out, and now this is out, and now there's a new exotic out, now there's something new to chase. So I think if you only had 5 or 10 hours to play Destiny each week, you would have moved on from the game entirely, because there's just so much to do, and you feel like you're constantly so far behind, especially playing with folks who are doing this day in and day out. So I think they've put the content out sort of at a streamer's pace, where it releases Tuesday. By the weekend, the streamers have done all that. They're on to the next thing. By next Tuesday, they need a new challenge, a new activity, where they're ready to move on. The rest of us aren't. The rest of us are not playing at that pace. And because they've pushed out so much new stuff, we've lost a lot of the bug fixes. We've lost a lot of the small changes to the world. We've lost Trials of the Nine. We've lost the Crucible Labs, the faction rallies. They've been working on so many big things. They've lost the things they had before in the game that people enjoyed. And I think, overworking the team, we've seen a lot of big bugs come in the game. Now, granted, I'm sure they've caught a lot of bigger bugs that never saw the light of day, that we never saw as players. But we've seen things that they brought in that have been very broken. They've had to pull. And I think just slowing down will give them more time to fix a lot of this stuff, which will be good for them and good for us.
See, I agree with that, right? Obviously. but I know you guys don't care about what I agree on. But I did want to add that I think the way that they did it could have been slightly better. And again, I agree with the whole treadmill thing. It's just, boom, 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 boom. You got to do this because there's a time limit on it or whatever, right? They could get away with content droughts, like what you're saying. I don't enjoy content droughts, right? Because it does make the game a little bit boring or whatever. But if you have something to fill in that gap while they don't have any new content, for example, the event that everybody's currently doing with the nonsense armor. Thank you. The Solstice event, the fact that it has an expiration date on it, I don't think is a good thing, right? Because that they're forcing themselves to have content droughts, as it were, right? Because I want to work on my armor at my pace. I don't want to work on 3 sets of ridiculous armor where I have to do bonkers amount of grinding in a limited window space. Because then when that window is over, now I don't have any content anymore when I could have still been working on that armor, should I choose to do so, right? So if they just stop putting expiration dates on things, that would be for the best. They wouldn't have to worry about content droughts because people wouldn't be killing themselves to try to get this before it's over. I don't know quite how the bad juju is going because I've had a really busy week and my memory isn't the greatest, but I'm pretty sure that there's also an expiration date on the bad juju.
No.
At least something had an expiration date, didn't it?
Juju doesn't. We covered it either last week or the week.
Yeah,
previous.
Juju doesn't expire. They said the tribute hall is a permanent thing. It's not going to go away at any point.
Oh, you're right.
It's going to be around as a permanent fixture on Nessus.
Okay, better example: the Arbalesque. You can't get it if you missed it. You can't get it. Right?
You can get it from World Drops.
I got it yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, World Drop and Gambit bonus.
Because I wasn't sure if that became the World Drop. I heard rumors, but I had no way to verify it. Right
now, did you have it before, and was it in your loot pool to get it as a World Drop, or did you get it as a World Drop and did not have it previously?
I didn't have it previously. I wasn't playing when Arbalest was a thing. It was just a standard exotic drop.
Okay.
Sweet. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because I know some things once you have it, it can be in your loot pool and you can it will show back up again. For the good people out there who may have also missed it.
What's your view, Talons, on?
I can kind of echo what you guys have said. Really, as someone that was more of a casual player during the last sort of year or so, coming back into it when I did, I was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea what to do. There was just so much stuff that had happened, and all the special missions like the 0 hour and things like that. I was gone. I had no idea what to do first.
But again, you wouldn't have a lot of these issues if they would stop putting expiration dates on things. Now, my other 2 examples were bad, but the current event, the Solstice, is still a good example. I do want all 3 pieces of armor. I don't have time to do it, so I've just given up.
So should we move on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So Luke Smith also says that he likes Gambit Prime, and it felt like a great refinement of Gambit to him, and he'd love to hear our thoughts on it. But in the future, they're going to have to make a choice. Which Gambit is the Highlander of Gambits, Prime or Classic? So basically, what he's saying is that he wants to only have one, just the best version of that one. And
why?
They say because they want to.
It's too much to support. They need to start pulling things out of the game because the technical debt of supporting all these things forever means we don't get new things or we don't get bug fixes.
But I don't care about how complicated it is for them to do it. Right? You have all these different versions of Crucible.
They don't care that you don't care.
And we only get one version of Gambit.
Well, they say that it's not about removing stuff from Destiny 2, but the game can't grow infinitely forever. We think that Gambit is sweet and deserves more ongoing support, and they want to ultimately focus that support on whichever mode ends up being the best, the Highlander, as he puts it. And he says that there can only be one. So whether it comes down to the Destiny
You've just repeated
community,
yourself. I know that's what he said, but my question is why?
I know, but whether it comes down to the Destiny community to choose which is the one.
I don't want to choose. They both have good and bads for each one. I like playing both Gambits. Why do I only get one Gambit when we have 30 Crucibles?
Because it's all Crucible.
I don't think that should be the way that they go. Right? As an opinion, if they want an opinion, here's my opinion. Don't get rid of either one of them. Now, if you have to streamline which one you're going to make better, I would say probably Prime. But that doesn't mean I don't like playing OG Gambit. So I
Yeah.
don't think they should get rid of either one of them.
Talons?
I completely understand why they're doing it. I think there's far too much crossover between the two. When you talk about Crucible and you're playing different game modes in Crucible, you're playing something like 6v6 Control feels very different to Clash, things like that. Whereas Gambit and Gambit Prime to me feels like I'm essentially playing the same thing, just in a slightly different format. I understand why they think if you keep the two of them going forward, that's a lot more to support. You got to think about all the balancing around that as well. How do things, new weapons relate in one game mode to another? I don't really see the need for two, and certainly when you're doing things like the weekly objectives, I find that I'll do one of them and then I'll start doing the other one. I'm like, why am I doing this all over again? It's just a waste of time. For me, I think Gambit Prime is the clear way forward, and just go with that one.
Yeah, but Gambit, you don't have to. I see what you're saying about having to go to one and do the other, but you don't have to do both for the weeklies. You can get all of your objectives for just. Oh wait, no, you're talking about the powerful gear.
Yeah, the powerful gear, just for like the weekly reset, the daily reset, those sort of ones.
Gotcha. Never mind. I thought you were talking.
I'm playing catch up here. I got to do all that stuff,
Yeah, and I think I've actually sort of reversed my thinking, because initially when I first read this, I was thinking, well, keep Gambit Prime, because you've got the whole Reckoning, you've got the whole armor. But the more I think about it, I say keep original Gambit and get rid of Prime, get rid of the Reckoning. It needs a major rework anyway for the Reckoning drops, all the armor sets. Especially if you're not going to bring it forward, I mean, yeah, it'll be available as Armor 2.0 drops come Shadowkeep and all. But honestly, if you have it as an event and give it a firm end date and say, okay, you have until this date to play Gambit Prime and get your
another expiration date
and whatever, and then take it away and say, it was here for the Season of the Drifter, it's been here for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever that date is, and then say, now we're gonna take it out of the game. Maybe bring Gambit Prime back in as a seasonal event, rotate it in, maybe rotate it in periodically. But I think keep original Gambit. I like the changes, making the third round a final death round, a sudden death round, because it just shortened the gameplay. Gambit Prime matches tend to go very long if you've got well matched invaders going back and forth against each other.
What?
And the armor's interesting, but again, I remember talking months and months and months ago about our worries of, hey, you've got the the streamers and folks who are going to grind this armor out and get full notorious armor gear, go into Prime and stomp all over people. But still, here we are now, like 5 months later, and I've very rarely seen anybody running full armor gear other than the invader armor sets. I think even just the other day, I've seen the first couple of 20 mote extra large blockers come through. It's like I'm not seeing a lot of the armor sets in play, at least that affects me from the other team.
Well, that's because they're either invader, like you said, or sentry.
Right.
Sentry's
so it's
really
like
good for taking out enemies so that you can fill the bank faster.
Right. Yeah. So it's like it's there, but it doesn't seem like it. You can sort of ignore that armor set and still play the game and more or less have just as much success. And
Sorry,
I've played a ton of.
I apologize.
Yeah, and I've played a ton of Gambit. I've reset my rank 5 times. I've played a huge amount of Gambit, and I just don't think it adds that much to it. So I think keep original Gambit, get rid of Gambit Prime and the Reckoning, bring it back as a seasonal event or something, or just say, hey, it had its run. We're going to retire it now and move on.
Reckoning, I know it's tied to Gambit Prime, but I like Gambit Prime, and I don't like the Reckoning, right? But I do enjoy playing Gambit Prime.
Well, you've got to keep the two. You've got to keep the two. They're a pair.
I'm aware of that.
Fix one, you gotta
once
fix
you have
the other
all
one,
the
then.
armor, you don't play Reckoning anymore, so it's irrelevant, right? Right? Why would you go into Reckoning if you've already got the armor?
To help
I don't think you need to keep them tied together either. You could have some other way of getting the armor just for the sake of Gambit Prime.
Reckoning could be a weekly rotational, not a weekly, like every 3 weeks, like the Dreaming City. Hey, you've got this much time to build up all those tokens, and bam, it's here. Now you can burn them all and try to get your armor or weapons or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like Talon said, you could even just make the armor a drop from Gambit Prime, or tie it to a bounty like the headpieces now. Getting your rank up in Reckoning, play 6 matches of Gambit, and you'll get a armor set or whatever, or armor piece. Something like that.
So do you think that they should integrate the Reckoning armor sets into OG Gambit? Is that that would be nice. Way that we're thinking?
That would be nice. But
put those in OG Gambit, get rid of Prime. And that way you would have the best of both worlds.
Make the OG Gambit, very similar to Prime, where you could then potentially have longer and longer matches. You're then thinking you've got 3 rounds, and although the final round is the boss round, those first two where it's going to be backwards and forth, with it invaders coming over and stealing moats and blocking and this and that.
Yeah.
It's going to make it into
and
a
that's
very
the
long...
point I was trying to make. I've never played a long match of Prime like what you're talking about. Prime goes pretty quick for me, but way quicker than regular Gambit does. I'll get all my bounties and my weeklies done on Prime half the time, if that, than my regular Gambit.
I'm in the same boat. I've had one outlier game of Prime the other day that went to actually the end time ran out. Other than that, I just find it so much faster than Gambit, and it's the round system of Gambit what really gets to me, especially if you lose that first round. A lot of the time I don't want to win the second round because I just want it to get over with faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think that's quite bad.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah, if you lose that first round, it's like, let's just work on bow kills for the hush or something in the second round. Let's not try to win it and force a third round. Let's just give them the win because there's no reason.
We're thinking of it.
There's no motivation to win.
We're all thinking of it as kind of, we're coming from, single players, not, we're not working as teams going in and playing Gambit for like the competitiveness. Oh, we like it originally started out being, you had to build your team and go in and when you first started playing Gambit or Prime, you saw, every opposing team had the set, it was all glowing on the opposite side. And for the first couple of weeks it worked. And then, as you were saying, it slowly died off, and I think, are we, looking at it from, the perspective of a lot of people that now just go in and play it singularly, or, is it a bias side that, we're on the minority, not the majority?
Probably singular players, right? But if we went in as a clan, when we play Gambit as a clan, whether Prime or Original or whatever, I don't give a damn how long it lasts because I'm with you guys and we're having fun messing with each other or taka more than we are playing the actual game, So I think my crazy train just got derailed. I forgot where I was going with this, but I mean, I'm talking from whenever I'm playing without you guys, because when I'm playing with you guys, I don't care what we're doing because it's enjoyable, it's fun.
No, I understand that, but I think as the game mode has gone on and the game has progressed, a lot of us now, just like Talons has been doing, going in solo, playing the game mode, and getting out after he's got his drops, and a lot of us do that. Like I bet. A lot of people for the last couple of weeks for Solstice have been going in solo just to get those games out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And
some people, a lot of people have been going AFKers and
exactly. A lot of people have been going in idling. I've played a couple matches where there was a guy on our team.
How do you idle though?
Wrap a rubber band around your controller or move it periodically. I played a game or two this week that had. Guy had 0 kills, 0 motes banked, 0 motes lost, just zeros across the board. He was there, but he did not contribute at all. Had a couple strikes like that too. And that's the problem. The problem with making people play X number of things, which is a good requirement because there's no success failure rate to it. But it's still, if you've got to play this over and over and over, you're going to have people that are just going to quote unquote play it, but not actually contribute anything.
So moving on from what Luke Smith was saying. He continues with Season of the Drifter Thoughts, and he says the first time that he used Phoenix Protocol at home, he knew it was over. It's an exotic coat that refills my well of radiance and then refills itself as I slay, so that I can continue to play my way of standing in the well and killing things, being invulnerable and dealing a ton of damage. I mean, there's so many questions about that one statement that I think it's how is that you're playing that at home and you've only just realized? And
at that point, why did you not say, "Oh, we've made a terrible mistake"?
Well, it gets worse because they say that with that they were breaking encounter rules left, right, and center, and especially on the Reckoning Bridge, in no small part due to the players in an always active well of radiance becoming invulnerable gods, holding all 6 Infinity Stones all the time. And, with that, they then had to put enemies coming from all around you and snipers to kind of create a little bit of balance for that. And he then goes on to say that they had an internal team codenamed Velveeta, and they were formed in the wake of Crota's end modem unplugging debacle. And they said that, once Velveeta can get close to beating something or beat it outright, that becomes an important data point. And, and they ask, is this hard enough? But, we give them a bunch of tips like, here's how this works. Can you beat it? So if they can, it's a good indicator of the action game and the gear that's working together. But I don't understand. They've got this team, how this team didn't understand how that one piece of armor would not make everybody invulnerable. How has it then got to the point that Luke Smith's playing it at home? That's my main question takeaway from that one. So, I mean, he's being quite honest and open about telling us now, but at the time, there's nothing you can do once it's shipped. Is it? It's out there, but I don't understand how.
Maybe they did know that one piece of armor does that because that's what it's designed to do, but only if you're playing that one character, right? So, I mean, it's an exotic piece of armor. It's supposed to be overpowered. It's supposed to do those kinds of things. So they didn't take it as this thing makes you invincible because that's what it's designed to do. Well, not invincible, but because you can still get killed. Even before the nerfs, if you're standing in a wall of radiance and it's blackout, it doesn't matter if you're in the wall. Those guys are going to one-shot you when they come in there with the axes. You're still going to die, right? And at that point, being in the well is counterproductive because you can't move when they both come at you, or even one of them, and he slams that axe down and your whole team is dead.
Yeah.
This whole passage really, to me, is more indicative of further issues at Bungie, particularly Night Demon, where you say that once you put things out there, you can't take them back. Mm-hmm. I think one of the problems with that is that they don't take them back fast enough. The spells that we get between sort of bug fixes and balance and things like that are just too long. That if they would have put that armor out and then 2 weeks later they come along and say, hey, that was a bit strong, we tone it down a bit, then you can take that back a little bit. People are going to say, well, that was a great 2 weeks, but yeah, okay, that's gone now. Whereas what they kind of do now is they put things out and then they just leave them forever, and there's 6 months before you see any balancing at all. And they're building other content on top of that as they go, which they've got to do that, sequentially as they, they've got multiple things in development at once, but they can still speak to each other and say, we're looking at toning this down here, so perhaps don't balance your entire content around this feature being in the game when you release it.
So what you're saying is fix it before we get used to it? Before it becomes a core part of the game?
Fix things more often. They just need to be looking at things more often. You play other games and they're sort of popping things onto a beta environment every 2 weeks, and then that goes on to live. 2 weeks later, if it wasn't quite right, they'll adjust it again. You get another patch out. But with Bungie, it's 6 months before they touch anything.
I mean, just as an example, Phoenix Protocol dropped with Forsaken, so it was out in September, and then Season of the Drifter came along in March, was it? So that's 6 months that they knew that was an issue. This thing would then cause problems down the line. They might not have 100% known what the Reckoning was, because it might have not been the thing that they were developing. It might have been, I think it was one of the other studios, wasn't it? High Moon or Vicarious. But like you were saying, a conversation between the studio saying, this is potentially going to break that part of the game that you guys are working on. We might just tone it down now.
Yeah, what if they don't necessarily realize it? I don't know how big their testing team is, right? But once it gets pushed out to us, who now has a bajillion players playing the game, then as a community, we realize that something is better than what maybe the devs or the testers realized as they were making it, right? So maybe that's a part of the thing that they're like, holy crap, I didn't realize it was going to be this bad. But there are things...
And even with that, you can then pull it back.
But there are other things like what he said, what he admitted later on in the same podcast is when Luke Smith had the nerve to say if he could go back, he would have introduced the Whisper in its nerfed form instead of the Black Hammer version, right? This is going to be a part of the rant later, so I'm not going to say the whole thing. But that's a lesson that he learned from D1. That's all I'm saying. That wasn't a whole, oh crap, we didn't know that this was going to happen in the D2 community. He knew it. It happened in the first game. Shouldn't have made the same mistake twice. But that's all I'm saying about that, because there's more for that later. But it's crap like that happens that they should have learned from the first time. Because the first part, community goes, hey, check this out. If you put these things together, you can be like invincible for whatever. And the devs are like, holy crap, we didn't know that. Let's go back and fix that, right? But it might take them, like you said, 6 months to make that patch fix. Whereas if the dev team or the testing team had come across that in testing, could have been pushed out before we even saw that it was the thing, right? So I kind of see both sides to that fence.
Even if the stuff goes live, if they're not working on building us brand new content, and brand new events every week, they've got time to go back and make some of these changes and make these pushes, and test them out and do it. I think we're seeing small changes to the game being sacrificed in the push for new. And if you again slow down the release of your new stuff, you can fix and rebuild and tweak the world we're living in. Then we won't have, again, they've built us up into these immortal gods because they've gone down this path. And now as things get developed in tandem, we're down this path of immortal gods, and there's sort of no way back until you sort of slam on the brakes and say, we need to have a big reset.
Well, I think that's what they're planning to do.
And that's what Shadowkeep's going to bring us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the three of you, I want to know your opinions, right? Since Destiny 3 or Destiny 2 is a fantasy game. Right, it's an empowerment game. We come to play this.
What do you mean fantasy game? This isn't real life. The moon's still haunted.
Would you, as a group, you three, prefer to be overpowered and have that I am a god feeling, and that is how you enjoy your game, or do you want it to be more difficult? What state of Destiny do you three prefer? More godlike, or harder to do things?
I don't think you need to pick. I think there's room for everything in the game. You should be more godlike in the story missions, the old content. That's where you should be in that sort of position. But then you should be getting challenged by the end game activity, which again I think is something they're looking to do in Shadowkeep.
Okay. Now, going on to that point, what do you think about you being Mr. Godlike still being killed by the ads that you killed when you were like level 10?
I don't see that as an issue, really. You still got to have some slight challenge there. You shouldn't be able to just walk through everything because that would just be completely boring.
Yeah, but certain activities that you've already passed, because I play a lot of MMORPGs.
You're still going to take damage. I mean, you're still going to take enough damage. Yeah, you're not going to die in the same way.
That much damage.
I mean, right? A bunch of thrall can still kill you no matter what your power level or light level is.
But why?
Bunch of thrall eventually, because you take enough damage, they're eventually going to get the job done.
Eventually being the key word there, right? So
what are you doing that you're getting killed by low level enemies?
I'm just listen as an example. Okay, it doesn't matter what I'm doing, but as an example, if I was able to kill these guys when I was like level 10, not the same, but it's comparable.
Peroty, did you want to just cover the notes that you've made on the Reckoning?
I mean, the only thing I was just going to say is, they mentioned some design guidelines, which I thought was interesting, actually spelling out, here's the things they try to do. Mm-hmm. They don't want to spawn enemy players behind, they don't want to spawn enemies behind the player. We want players to play a game of taking space from the enemy. We want players to have cover where their shields and health can recharge, or they get to be smart about using geometry, movement, ability, and gunplay to dig enemies out of cover and make interesting decisions about target prioritization. They want players to be able to understand where in the space enemies will come from, and if we're going to reverse that in combat, they're going to give you cues, aka if they are going to spawn enemies behind you, they want to telegraph that. They use drop ships, spawn clouds, audio cues, all kinds of tricks to sort of tell you where things are coming from or where the reinforcements are going to appear from.
Yeah,
and as player power was dramatically increasing, more on this increase later, the encounter rules got thrown out the window. So just like they said, I thought it was interesting. Here's sort of the rules they try to stand by. And you can sort of see how these rules were thrown out the window in Reckoning, because they threw everything but the kitchen sink at us, and sometimes the kitchen sink too, trying to kill us. And it was the problem of they've made our Guardians too powerful, because they basically gave you a year one, Destiny 1 Titan bubble where you were absolutely immortal, except they made it so you could shoot through it, because now it's just a pool of water on the ground. And we're now immortal gods, and they have to try to build a game around that with that in the game, which needs to be reflected in every single activity they build, because that's something people can go in with. And if they do, there's almost no challenge to it, because you can just stand there and deal damage forever. So I thought it was interesting, giving us what they try to stick to, and just seeing. I've been thinking about that more as I've been playing the game this week. Here's the rules and guidelines we try to stick to, and they more or less stick to those, except in Reckoning, because they couldn't, and have it be challenging.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's their goal anyway.
Continuing on with what Luke Smith was saying in his part 1, he said that we want Destiny to be a game where you have lots of choices with your character, build what you choose to do, and funneling those choices down to only one in the Reckoning is something we don't want to repeat. We've historically thought about the main Destiny campaign as something we want to be pretty easy, and he thinks the D2 campaign was actually too easy at times. So, as players push further into the post-game, they'd be able to find more challenge. Across Destiny's history, we haven't had enough challenge deep enough into the end game, and that's definitely something on their list as they head towards fall 2019. And the entire time that they've been making Destiny, the action game and the RPG have been fighting, and it's a forever war.
Yeah, which is what we've been going back and forth with. And just the two things I wanted to mention was just with this move towards a more RPG part of the game, I was really hoping we'd see some tools for loadout, some tools for building my monster killing machine in game, which they more or less said isn't going to happen. So I'm very thankful for the rich ecosystem of third-party applications like Dim, like Little Light, like Ishtar Commander that are out there, because playing the game without those tools, I would not be playing the game if I had to go to the tower, go to my vault to make changes every single time. So I'm happy those are there.
That's why
I
they're not
worry.
making those changes is because those things exist. They're
Right.
Like, it's already a thing. We don't need to develop it.
Right. And I worry about that, because if those developers, their life situation changes, their jobs changes, they don't have time to continue this, losing those tools because they aren't paid for parts of the game. People are supporting them with donations and whatnot, but they aren't, no one on staff at Bungie is making these tools. So I'm happy they're there, but I worry about that tenuous developer relationship. Not Bungie the developer, but the developer of those tools continuing to develop those tools, because there's a bunch of changes happening with the Shadowkeep release they have to incorporate into this. If it's just one guy, like I believe Ishtar Commander is, that's a lot of work. And I'm excited with Shadowkeep. I feel like we have this one true exotic meta where it's like you either need to have the one gun or the one exotic armor piece to play any activity. And I'm hoping that's going to change. There's some roles and stats and more greater variety. There will still be a meta. There will still be sort of the best thing to use, but I'm hoping there will be a couple of best things to use. Maybe not just one thing, which will help Bungie in their ongoing balancing of, we don't have to nerf the one weapon, the one whisper, the one, exotic coat. Now we can make some smaller changes because it's not just one thing that everyone is moving towards.
Okay. So moving on to the next part of Luke Smith's opus that he's written, and I know I'm opening a can of worms even saying this sentence. So he says, if he could turn back time, we'd probably not run the Whisper as the original Black Hammer infinite ammo design. However, considering the year before, Destiny had been feeling restrictive and with its power limit. So I know all three of you have got some, something to say on this subject.
Yeah, just say
Is this where we start rant music? Is this where
No,
we go?
no.
Before Respawn spins up, let's get Celestial and I Respawn goes spin up like that sweet business over there in the background. We'll get to you in a second. But I just want to, because I went back and looked, because we got Whisper of the Worm July 17th, 2018, alongside with patch 1.2.3, which brought a ton of changes to the game. It was really a part where Destiny was feeling really underpowered. So I think part of their thinking was, okay, let's bring back a really powerful weapon in the game. It dropped into the game with no notice, no knowledge. It was just Reddit things blowing up going, oh my God, there's a secret quest. Oh my God, what is it? Oh, what is it? Let's go find this out, what this is. So I think just with a little bit of context, it was a part where they wanted to give the game a boost of power. And they did. They gave it that boost, but They gave it that Red Bull double espresso shot right to the face. Talons, do you have any thoughts on this before Respawn screams about it?
I'm pretty tirade free on this actually. I'm very much in agreement with Luke Smith. I think Destiny 2 when it first launched was incredibly boring and turned a lot of people off the game, and the injection of power I think was good. That did bring people back, but I think we can all kind of agree that Whisper just having infinite ammo is a little bit too much. So yeah, I'm not actually that sort of angry about this section.
Are you not angry about the fact that it was brought back in its original form of the Black Hammer infinite ammo, even though they learned with Black Hammer where they nerfed it and took away the infinite ammo, then they gave us the Black Spindle with the infinite ammo and then nerfed that? It's not like they hadn't learnt that in the previous few iterations of it, and then bringing it back again in the original form with the infinite ammo. Does that not kind of upset you in any way, thinking maybe they should have redesigned it as something slightly different where infinite ammo could have been taken into consideration, but there was more of a risk reward for it?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly see why people would be angry about them effectively, doing the exact same thing twice. But it kind of felt, maybe it's a negative, that it kind of felt like a necessity a little bit when it first launched, and it kind of made a lot of things feel better before it felt like a bit of a slog to do the high-end activity, and then Whisper was kind of the savior of the day. But maybe as they're going forward and sort of re-looking at that sort of levels for the end game content, it does need another readjustment.
Okay.
Cue the music.
So, you guys actually did take most of my rant from this, so I'm gonna have to kind of adjust a little bit, right? All right. So, but all right. So look, he did have the nerve to say that. That's insane that he actually said that. But
before you start going off on one though, remember that we did do a whole podcast on this nerf, and you did have a huge rant on it. So maybe just a little mini nerf rant so that we can then continue.
Yeah, it's more the second part of this, right? That we again kind of discuss. Well, whatever, right? All right, so here we go.
Are you just upset that he's admitted? Is that what you're upset? Is the fact that he's actually come out and admitted to this?
Yes and no. Okay, I'm upset that he admitted it, but there's a reason why. Okay, so this enrages me because that lesson should have been learned from D1, because there was a backlash back then whenever they nerfed it, right? But the fact that it took him now that I think about it, 3 iterations of the same mistake, because it was the Black Hammer with the infinite rounds, the Black Spindle with the infinite rounds, and then it got nerfed, and then it was the Whisper with the infinite rounds, and then it got nerfed. Huh?
We've had Black Hammer since December 2013. 6 years.
Yeah.
It's taken him that long to learn.
Yeah. And so 3 iterations of the same mistake over 6 years infuriates me beyond normal standards of anger. Knowing that a person who has to make the same mistake more than once to learn his lesson.
Are you laying it entirely at Luke Smith's feet for this? Or are you just using him as an example because he's the one that's written this?
He wrote it, but I am throwing it at his feet because he controls how the game flows. In the end, he's the ominous dominus. This is going to go. This is not going to go person.
I'm not sure if he's controlled all the decisions going forward. He is now. He's directing the game as going into Shadowkeep, but maybe he wasn't the director on certain parts.
He's not the Steve Jobs of Bungie.
Okay. No. I don't know that to be true, and you're also making an assumption. So, assuming he is the guy that does this, if he's not, great, my rant is invalid. But if he is, right, the knowledge that a person that has to make that same mistake more than once to learn his lesson, being in charge of one of my favorite games, is enough to make me want to burn my safety blanket. Okay, how many more times is this individual, assuming it is him that gives the final okay, gonna ruin my gaming experience by repeating the same stupid mistakes that he made before learning this lesson? And this rolls into the whole I just want to point out that he was talking about the Whisper nerf and the Snowball super nerfs with those exotics that everybody nerfed, or that he nerfed that everybody used. That's what I meant to say. He also mentioned that supers right now are incredibly strong, because they are, and there are going to be more super changes in the future. So on top of this, what I'm getting from this is this means that there's more nerfs coming to the supers themselves. To me, that's
I think you're jumping ahead here, but I think the game's going to change, and we'll slowly learn that over like the next couple of months. But sticking with your Whisper thing, because we're still on it, going by what Celestial Talons has just said, it came at a point where the game needed that strong weapon to help, propel Destiny further. And, he gave a valid argument for that.
Then it
Destiny
should have
2
stayed
needed
there.
that.
It should have stayed there.
No,
Because
but
the
Destiny
game
2
didn't
needed
change,
that kind of weapon.
right? The game is still the same game for the most part, right? And even before we got the newer, cooler exotics, the Black Whisper was nerfed in that same little block. So we needed the Black nerf to get past a certain point, but then it got nerfed while we still had that point to get past. What's the point of that?
But you're back to
I don't know.
Requiring one gun and one armor piece to play every endgame activity.
Yeah.
I mean, Bungie's doing what they've always done is they put a lot of guns in the game. They put a lot of armor pieces. If you're using one gun and one armor piece, they're going to mix things up and say, stop doing that. Use something different.
So I think you've definitely beaten that to a complete pulp over 2 podcasts now. So I think we'll just leave it there and carry on. I know. I'm sorry.
It might be over 2 podcasts.
Make your own podcast.
It's occurred over the course of those 2 podcasts.
You are
it's a relevant point.
I didn't say it wasn't a valid point, but Luke Smith has said he was wrong. What more do you want? We all knew it was wrong at the time
because he's taking it even further. That's what I'm saying. It went from the Black Spindle to now he nerfed the exotics that we use for our armor pieces, and now that's not enough. Now he's going to start messing with the supers themselves, nerf the supers themselves.
No, but I think you're looking at it the wrong way.
In the context of a huge game change,
the game is going to change, and
drastically. The game we play in October is not the same game.
No. So, continue on from what Luke Smith said. He says they're going to talk about supers much later on. There are more changes coming in Shadowkeep, and there's going to be buffs to scout rifles, nerfs to mechanics that circumvent the ammo economy, and refactoring of the way damage is stacked. And they want to try something different with the pursuits, in the sense that they knew where they wanted this feature to end up, but we'd taken some iterative steps to get there. And he thinks that they've got to do a better job ensuring that the renovation is clearer, either in-game or via communication on the Bungie site. And this fall, the bounties will be separated from the quests, and PC players will get an assigned hotkey that takes them there directly from the pursuits menu. And they do have a picture on Luke Smith's blog that he's posted, where the quests are on the left and the bounties on the right, and it looks like you can have up to 15 quests running at the same time and 31 bounties. It looks like
a glorious change.
That is.
I'm excited for this. I'm very happy, and this was my little. I know they talked about the, mentioning when they released the first pursuit change and going, have you read Reddit? Yeah, maybe don't. And my biggest problem with this was just breaking my muscle memory of hitting one button going to the far right. Now I'm hitting the other button going to the far left. It just broke my muscle memory of where I'm going to find my pursuits. And Bungie not being the quickest loading game with the menus, it just felt like a double kick in the teeth.
Well,
on this
console.
Being on console, yeah. Caveat everything we say with, I play on Xbox, all the Xboxes, SSDs, no SSDs, I've experienced it all.
Mm-hmm. Talons, you play on PC, don't you?
I'm a PC. Those menus are incredibly fast. It's a world of difference.
I played it over this trip while I was gone over PC, and it is a huge difference.
Yeah. So if you're on PC, your menus load quicker. If you're on Xbox, get an SSD. Your menus will still load slow, but they'll load better. But honestly, once they made the change, it was nice. And honestly, I remember seeing I don't remember who it was. Someone on Twitter put out something looking very similar to this, and maybe it was one of the Bungie designers saying, "This is what this is what you should have done." So, it's nice to see that this is what they're going to do: split my quests, split my bounties, because I've got quests sitting in there for months, for a year or more. Hey, go run a prestige thing, and a quest that I cannot delete. It lives there. Night Demon was nice enough to take me through the Shadow Throne again to get my stupid Wish Ender, so I could get those 3 slots back. That were being taken up for weeks and weeks on end with those stupid things that I couldn't delete or get rid of. So I'm happy to see bounties over here, quests over here. Now, just give me a way to sort them. So when I complete, or when I go to look at my pursuits, take my pursuits that are completed, put them at the top. Let me go through them and collect them all. So I'm not hunting through 3 or 5 pages of where are all these. Not the biggest issue in the world. Just a little quality of life thing. Show me the things I've done. Let me turn them in. Let's move on. And let me select more than 3 things to track. Those are the 2 things I want. Those are my wish list items.
Anybody else got anything?
I saw it on Reddit, and I do think they should switch those 2 around. I think bounties should be on the left in the bigger space and quests in the smaller, just by pure numbers. There's way more bounties than there are quests there, and they're likely to change more. So I'd switch those, but that's me.
Hey, here's a question. Let's ask Luke Smith, what is his obsession with giving us limitations? Limitations in vault space, limitations in pursuit space.
You're putting it down to Luke Smith. It's not Luke Smith.
No, I'm asking him to explain it. I didn't say it was his fault. If he's going to be transparent, he's going to be telling us this stuff.
Server
Have him
space.
go out, get the info, and give it back to us.
Server space. You work in technology. You should know these things.
Yes, I do.
Server space is not free.
It's
server
not.
capacity is not free. This stuff lives in the cloud.
That goes back to the whole. We should have ways to earn it. That would utilize. So in order to save server space, like what you're talking about,
buy your ornaments, and then you can allow them to enable to do different things with the game. Spend money. They can have more servers. You'll be happier. And get a PC apparently, and then you can get everything to everything faster.
I do. I spend $20 a week on buying ornaments and silver.
Well, then
silver
you're doing your
dust,
job.
silver.
Good job.
So, bright dust and silver. Blech.
And speaking of your silver and bright dust, the evolving Eververse and Night Demon, the voice of Luke Smith, will take us through it.
No, I'm not doing my American accent. So last year, we thought long and hard about the Eververse and how we wanted to change the strategy around microtransactions in Destiny. So, for example, Whisper of the Worm's ornaments were successful enough to pay for developer cost-wise for the 0-hour mission, the rewards to be constructed. The storefront, which we launched alongside Seasons of Opulence, is the first part of the strategic shift that we're making with the microtransactions. The decision to run old content in bright engrams instead of making new bright engrams is another part of the shift. The storefront is going to get another round of enhancements this fall too. We're going to move it to the director so that you don't have to go to the tower to see Tess. So it'll just be there when floating around in orbit. You can then go to see Tess in this virtual space and buy ornaments and.
Isn't this the exact thing we talked about like 10 podcasts ago? No. About allowing us to access vendors from space?
But now they're actually doing it with Eververse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're going to do it with Eververse because apparently a lot of other games do this, that you can just access like the loot box vendors from your menu.
If we can transmat a sparrow and transmat a ship, we should be able to transmat a reward from something that we've done.
If you can dodge a brick, you can dodge a ball.
So they're also giving it some class-specific content. So if you're on a Titan looking for Titan universal ornaments with smaller shoulders, then you'll see the Titan armor on the storefront page. On the store's sub-page.
Small shoulders are not a thing. They only make big, huge, bulky armor that makes your Titan look even dumber. This is not an option. So I've got mixed feelings about this. I'm happy about it moving to the director. I don't want it to be another place I have to fly into. I assume her bounties are going with her.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to have to then visit the tower.
I think you're assuming too much that the bounties are actually coming along.
Right.
They haven't said anything about those bounties in the bounty notes yet.
Precisely. Yeah, that's why I wonder, are those bounties coming with her? Or, are we going to have those as ways to earn bright dust, or is it going to be drops in the world or whatever?
Well, they said that it's going to be alongside the engrams, isn't it? So the engrams or the pursuits that you do in game will drop once you've completed with bright dust as part of the rewards. So I
See, why
don't know
did you
if
have to
she's
say
going to be
that?
keeping the vendors stuff.
Why'd you have to say that? Because now you've just rendered them putting that in your pursuits tab pointless, or not pursuit, wherever the hell that's going to be, right? Now
What?
you've just made it pointless if you got to go to her anyway to get the bounties.
No. If she's floating around in your virtual space while you're in orbit in your ship, and you've clicked on the page, you can then scroll down and pick up the bounties if they're still there. We're saying that
Oh, okay. So you're
Right.
saying
Bungie said that
assuming she even
bounties
has
is even going to
bounties.
be a thing
Yeah,
after the fact.
Right, exactly. Yeah, she may not even have the bounty. She may just be a storefront for the
stuff.
fashion game to buy for Dresden.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
missed that part.
Yeah. Again, we have space magic, but we have no radios. Just give me a bounty board. I'm tired of going and talking to everybody. At least put them closer together.
Yeah, but that was a good call on their part. I hope they continue it with the other vendors.
They also said that they're going to make it easier for you if you've got like a set of 3 out of 5 Optimacy sets on your Titan. The cost of the finishing the set with silver would be reduced by 60%. So they'll also be taking that into account. So it looks like they're going to look at what you've got in your inventory at the moment, and say you've got 3 of the pieces and you want 2 of the others to then completely deck yourself out with ornaments.
Is 3 the limit?
No,
Or is
3.
it 20%
No,
reduction?
that was
They're
just an example.
3 out of 5. So you might have 4 out of 5, or even just 1 piece.
Yeah,
Right, but by that logic,
the more pieces you have, the cheaper it'll be. That's just an example.
okay,
That's
what
if
it
you
is.
want to buy it.
that's what I was
Right.
hoping. But when he said
Yeah.
3 pieces is 60% off, I was like, does that mean I got to get 3 pieces before I get the discount? So,
No.
No, it'll go up.
Yeah, just the more pieces you earn, the cheaper it'll be. That's all.
Okay. And they said that they're going to continue to try and separate capability and gameplay from vanity. So Armor 2.0 and Universal Ornaments are a big part of this separation. This is also why finishing perks are mods that can be socketed into equipment so that their aesthetics can stand alone.
This is the big scary part for me. This is the bit that I don't like, is this very sentence of separating capability and gameplay from vanity. Because for me, one of my sort of favorite things from Destiny 1 was the Glowhoo shader, and walking into the tower and everyone's walking up to you like, oh, great, where did you get that from? And, you've got a cool story behind it. Yeah, we just did this raid with the team. It was all great. And I don't want that to suddenly become the case of, oh, where did you get that armor? Where did you get that shader? And the simple answer just being, oh, well, I just bought it. I walked over to the store, everyone comes over and says, that looks cool. Thanks, I bought it myself. Not really a great story.
I bought it myself. Cool.
So yeah, I hope there's a limit and there's a nice balance between what visual items come from Eververse store, and there is some still solid continuation with giving that sort of stuff from high-end content.
I think with this is what they're basically saying is, do you remember a couple of months back when they said that they admitted that Eververse armor was deliberately rolled with bad perks so that you could never get something like enhanced, hand cannon reload on it? It was just like bog standard perks that very rarely re-rolled. You could dump so many engrams in and still get out kind of really terrible rolls. And they admitted that was part of their open and honest communication. And I think it was part of that they want to separate it so that you can still have the good looking armor with the ornaments, and then putting it onto, like people have been referring to as the transmog, where you can then put those ornaments onto armor that has got the good stats. And I think that's mainly where they're coming from with this separation statement, that they're saying that they want the capability to be on that armor, but you
It's just
still
purely
to have
aesthetic at this point.
yeah, you
It's just a
you
skin.
still want to be that vanity thing. I'm not 100% sure that it's going to be like shaders, although they do sell shaders.
Yeah, that's great. If that's what they're getting at, more separation of ability and vanity, that's fine. I just don't want all of vanity to be removed from gameplay. I don't want there to just be a complete separation.
Well, they did say most of it is going to be. You know what I mean?
No, I think,
yeah, I mean in terms of reward rather than and availability rather than usability.
I mean, Escalation Protocol and the Menagerie, they said they want to do more activities like this, but in the context of what they learned and the way they can do things better to support them over the long term. So while content for Destiny is released serially, it is largely developed in parallel. So I think this is what Luke Smith was kind of getting at with the Whisper stuff. So, for instance, while Forsaken was in its final few months, Black Armory was well underway and Season of Drifter was in development, while Black Armory was being built, etc. So where they were overlapping, that they found it harder to kind of adjust things that were being in development or coming out. And they said, for years people have wondered, why doesn't release X do things, content drop Y did, get it together, Bungie. And I think that's what, is part of his, we've admitted all of this is a mistake, or these things were mistakes, and we've learnt this and we've learnt that. So moving forward in Shadowkeep, it's all going to be built by us, and all the teams are going to be talking hand in hand going forward. So hopefully this kind of thing isn't going to happen anymore. It's all going to be built, in tandem. It's all going to be, the teams are going to be talking together. So they also say this is one of the reasons why. So even though the Menagerie is sweet and Chalice is great, while Shadowkeep was being built, the Menagerie and the Chalice hadn't yet been released, so they didn't know how the players would react. An example of a setback is the reward chase during Season of the Drifter. There are a bunch of super awesome weapons in Drifter, 1-2 punch, last man standing, but the path to them isn't clear, like Black Armory or the Chalice. We didn't do a good enough job rewarding players for their time or giving them clear paths to some sweet weapons in the release. If we had a do-over with the season's rewards, we'd probably have dropped armor directly from Prime. And again, they're saying the Chalice isn't perfect. Being held hostage by the runes that you want dropped from Strikes or Crucible to go into the weapons or armor piece that you cover is pretty frustrating. So, I found that when I was trying to farm the hand cannon, I ran out of hand cannon runes pretty quick. I only had like 15, then had to go off and play the game and only got like 2 or 3 to kind of drop before the patch came out. So I couldn't farm like everybody else was doing for the God Roll hand cannon.
Yeah, but what's wrong with that? Honestly, this is supposed to be an RPG or whatever. That's how things work. If you want the thing, you got to go fight the boss or do the event that gives you the chance to drop the thing.
No, but I had to go in to do something else to then come back and do that.
Right. Which is a problem that only existed because because Menagerie was released with the bug that allowed you to loot that chest multiple times. If it was released as it was intended with you play the activity, you get one reward, we wouldn't have had that problem of running out of things, because unless you're running the Menagerie 15 times, looting the chest 5 or 6 times per run, you're running out of materials much quicker than they intended, because that's not the way they intended to be played.
Still, I don't have a problem with it. I think that's how RPGs are designed. If this game's going to be leaning towards that, and that's it. You run out of keys to open the chest. You got to go back and farm more keys so you can go open the chest. That's it.
Yeah, you say that with Destiny 1, if I wanted to open a chest in a strike, I had to play strikes and get a key to drop in that strike.
You're getting hung up on the chest part, right? In an RPG.
No. I'm saying to earn the keys to open a chest at the end of the strike, I had to play strikes. To earn the keys.
Sure.
So I could play strikes over and over and over and over again, earn the keys, and then go into the strike that I wanted, and then open the chest that I wanted. But it was all in the same game mode. It wasn't go and play Crucible, get the keys, and then come back to strikes. That's the issue with the Menagerie, is that I have to go off and play strikes, Crucible, other things to get the runes to drop, and then come back and play the Menagerie. Why can I not just play the Menagerie and earn runes that way?
I agree with you completely here. And I can see Peroty's point that if it wasn't for that rune bug, it wouldn't be an issue. But the problem is going back and doing old content in order to play the new content, which was the biggest problem I had with the Forges when that first dropped as a DLC. And the starting of that, I had to go and do a whole sort of quest chain to unlock the first Forge that included getting Radiant Seeds from high-level enemies. And effectively, I was sitting there on day one drop of the DLC, playing the old content again so that I could play the DLC maybe tomorrow, and that's just not fun.
Yeah.
So that is Luke Smith's Opus Part 1. Has anybody got anything else they want to add to that?
I didn't hear us talk about the Crucible changes.
That's in part 3. You're ahead of yourself. This is part 1 of the trilogy. This is where you stop, you get your
I got
popcorn, you go to the
this.
bathroom, you get a snack. No, you didn't. It's in part 3.
Well, the video for part 1, that was the first thing he talked about was Crucible changes.
So
And look what the very next line.
pause the podcast right now
the
and
notes
go and
are.
take a
I don't
break. Go and have a wee. Go and have a drink. Make yourself a stiff drink.
Oh yeah, there's the drifter.
And sit back down while we kind of wrangle Respawn back into what's on the list.
You know what? Shut up. What
As we
page are we
dive
even
into
on?
the
We're on
viaduct.
page 8 of 26.
8 of 26. Okay, here we go. Working
Because
on it.
Peroty's
working on
added
it.
his notes to this.
That's
Armor
10 of
2.0
26.
with the viaduct breakdown. Now, I've gone through and listed as
There we
much
go.
as I can, and I'll read it through all the different
There's
things.
a lot.
And once we get to the end, we can have a little discussion and stuff like that. Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. Because
Uh,
I don't think you're going to moan about anything like this. I mean,
But
you
please
probably
keep-
could. There could be a rant.
Please keep
Some
all
point.
moaning to the end of this. Let's get through this section, and then we can moan and rant and whatever about whatever you want to moan about.
He'll just edit us out if we do that.
I might do.
See?
So, take into consideration that the Vidoc was in a development environment build, and there was a lot of things they showed off. Initially, they were at the tower, and they showed you that if you've earned the Majestic Solstice armor, you can get your first Armor 2.0 set from the gunsmith when Shadowkeep launches, and it will cost 0 glimmer. You just go over and pick up the package. There are multiple stats now, so you have mobility, resilience, and recovery, like we've got now, which affect the same things. But then we've got the intellect, discipline, and strength coming back from Destiny 1. The stats are going from 0 to 100 and go in tiers. The higher the tier, the quicker the recharge rate of the ability, or the more resilience, mobility, or recovery the Guardian has. And if you hover over the stats, it shows you the cooldown timer or how much mobility, resilience, and recovery you have. And on the armor, there will be a level 1 to 10 like masterwork system that we've got now. The higher the level or of the armor, the more mods that you can apply. So if you masterwork an armor piece higher, the better the stats it gets. So mobility, resilience, recovery, intellect, discipline, and strength will all go up. I think it's +2 if you max out at masterwork 10. Armor mods won't go away if you've used them. So currently now, if you break down an armor piece, you get the mod back. But if you infuse something with a mod, it'll just be taken away. Glimmer and shards are used to upgrade the armor from 1 to 4. 5 to 6, I believe it's enhancement cores. And then from 7 to 9, it's the new enhanced prisms, which we'll get onto later. And then from 9 to 10 is an ascendant shard. And these look like the same ascendant shards that we had in Destiny 1. Where
I was
you-
going to say, yeah, and that's something that we had back in D1.
Yeah. So ascendant shards and enhanced prisms are available from the gunsmith for purchase. They didn't hover over it in the video, so we don't know how much it is or what you need to do to actually get those. But they are at the gunsmith, so it looks like they're going to be purchasable with something. So they've raised the glimmer cap to 250k. Your Ghost and Sparrow will appear next to your character in the inventory screen. There's also a bonus system, and it's applied to all Guardians on your account. Power grows as you gain XP, and it resets with each new seasonal artifact. And on the build that they were using, it was 55,000 XP to then grow your power. I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work at the moment. It looks like you hit max light. I think it's 950, people were saying. But then you could
Go over
then go over that
Yeah.
by just leveling up the artifact. So
No, no,
every
no.
55,000, you gain an extra power level, rather than you can go off and do raids and things and get more powerful drops. You can actually level up your artifact. So there's 2 different ways of leveling up, it looks like.
Wait, 1 second. I may have zoned out,
Okay.
but I thought that the only way to go above 950 was the pinnacle reward system. like raids and things like that, because that, if I'm not mistaken, that's what they were talking about. The only way to
Yes.
go over 950 is pinnacle. Are you sure that
But it
the
looks
artifact can bring you over 950 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
From what I've seen and what I've heard.
Yeah,
And
and this
what
may
I've
all
read.
change because it's still a development build, but that's what we
Yeah.
believe at the moment. We could be wrong. They could change it.
So your exotic armor in your collections will have armor 2.0, and all legendary armor in your collections won't be, but all legendary armor drops will drop as armor 2.0 in the Destiny world. And if you can still earn the legendary version of that armor in the real world, you can get it as a 2.0. So things like the Trials armor that you've got in your collections, because you can't earn that in this state of the game, you won't be able to then get it as a 2.0 version, or like the factions, things like that.
I think that
Mhm.
those should be able to be turned into the mods, though, to change the way your armor looks. If you have it, you should be able to use it.
But
You
Why
can
would they
still
want
use
to
it,
do that?
something.
but there's no Armor 2.0 version of it because it's no longer in the game.
I don't want it to be armor 2.0. I want us to be able to turn that into ornaments so we can make our
Ornaments.
armor 2.0 look like those.
So that you could look like you've played Trials.
Mm-hmm. But you
If
can't.
you have the
so.
armor, you've played it. Not
So
look like
Year 1 Vanguard and Crucible armor will be available in Shadowkeep at their respective ornaments will be supported. So all those ornaments that you grinded out, Andy, for your Crucible armor that time, that will all be supported. Faction gear won't be available, like we just said. Armors that have acquisition sources will be available at Shadowkeep launch, so that covers your raids, destination activities, etc. No loadouts, which we've already spoken about. We've mentioned that the new materials, so you've got enhanced prisms, the ascendant shards, the enhancement cores stay, and there will be multiple new different sources of materials, such as the enhancement cores, prisms, and shards, and they're all part of the upgrade. Each armor has up to 10 energy, and mods require different amounts of energy, up to 6. Mods are unlocked forever to allow experimentation, apparently. The
I do
switching
like
of
that.
mods.
Oh, that was so good. So good. I'm sorry. I just that was good. Oh man. Yeah.
The switching of mods costs 500 glimmer, so you can switch, switch your armor around as much as you like. It only costs you 500 glimmer. The new mods can be found at the gunsmith on rotation to purchase and then be available forever. Sources across the game, like raids, Iron Banner, will provide high-end mods, maybe new ones, but they haven't been revealed as yet, although we have seen a few pictures. So with the new mod system, they say if the mod doesn't stack, it won't allow you to equip the mod. So the system won't let you waste time. Old mods will not depreciate.
Or be deprecated either.
Or what?
Old mods will not be deprecated.
Deprecate.
Yeah, they aren't going away. You should delete them all, but they aren't going away.
Yeah.
I was going to say the existing super grenades and melee mods will not convert over to the new system, but you can still use those on old armor pieces that you have. So if you still enjoy using those on your armor, you won't get the intellect, discipline, and strength on that piece of armor set, but you can still use the equivalent from year 2 on your old armor pieces. And saying that, so intellect covers you for your super regen, discipline is your grenade regen, and strength is your melee regen. Slotted in mods are shown on the armor's tooltip page, like your current armor does at the moment. So it will tell you what mods you've got slotted in as you view it.
Which is really nice to no longer have to inspect the piece of armor to say, what did I put in this again? Or did I put anything into
That's
it?
right.
Um,
Are you good, Damon? You
Yeah,
you
it's
sound
like-
like you're struggling, homie.
You don't have to read all of this. You don't have to be the official voice of Luke Smith the entire day.
Okay.
There's
In fact, we would
there's literally
prefer if
there's
we
literally
didn't read
3 other people
everything.
here.
Hey, yeah, Nighthawk hadn't talked enough. Make him talk. He sounds like you.
Talons.
What did I say?
Who's this
Nighthawk.
Nighthawk?
We can have an extra person. It's fine. Just chuck him
Right?
in as well.
Thanks for joining us, Nighthawk. I'm not sure when you change names, but welcome.
Celestial.
I was looking for a new
Celestial
name. It's
Nighthawk.
fine.
It's whatever. Tomato, potato.
Okay, so general mods include increases to intellect, discipline, and strength, very similar to like we've got the super mods, grenade mods at the moment. but you can also have solar, void, and arc, and minor, major, and boss resistance. Helmet mods are ammo finders and weapon targeting for every weapon type. Gauntlets have impact induction with reloaders. Chest pieces have ammo reserves and unflinching for all weapon types. Boots have ammo scavenger, weapon dexterity, and traction. Class items have things like perpetuation and increased super gains from certain weapon types, like kills, like remote connection. Randomized perks are gone, so they're replaced with armor energies and armor mods. For example,
Each armor piece can be dropped with random rolls with a maximum percentage. So the piece you collect may only provide 40% of the most efficient boost to your discipline. So one of the examples was, if you're running the Titan Code of the Protector, your Ward of Dawn now has Weapons of Light again, as the default on top of the existing Armor of Light perk. So, quick breakdown, the Armor of Light, that gives you the overshield when you're in the bubble. You're in the bubble, you're not going anywhere, you're not taking much damage, you are protected. Now when you step out of the bubble, you're going to have a Weapons of Light. Now, the Destiny 1 version of Weapons of Light, when you walked out of that bubble, aka Ward of Dawn, it grants you and your allies 25% increase to weapon damage for 10 seconds. Don't know if that's going to be the same in this. I don't remember what the screen said when they walked out of it, so it may be different, but that was a D1 version. So basically it gives you, and all your allies, you step out of that bubble, it gives you a weapon increase for a couple seconds, along with your Armor of Light. So yeah, while you're inside the Ward of Dawn, you gain significant damage resistance. You can also pair this with your Helm of Save 14, which will blind any enemy that steps into your bubble. And again, while allies pass through, they'll gain an overshield. So it sounds like you might also be getting the Blessing of Light from that, which is passing through the Ward of Dawn, grants you and your allies a shield that lasts for 10 seconds. So you could have a shield for 10 seconds, increased damage for 10 seconds, or just stand in the bubble and taunt people and let them come to you. It's also a good thing to use when you're fighting the Menagerie boss with the giant void walls. That bubble will tank the void wall. So you can put your bubble right now, today, at the foot of that boss and just wail into him with something non-explosive, like not a grenade or a rocket launcher, and you are immune to those walls that come through. And you can just pour damage into them. So that's your fun bubble tip for the day.
And hunters, you're getting a buff, aren't you, with Way of the Pathfinder? Respawn.
Okay.
You're the hunter.
What? Oh, sorry, I was distracted.
You've got a new combat provision subclass perk, so that grenades damage gives melee energy.
Well,
while
I'm here
making
now. All right, stand up.
allies invisible.
I can read it.
Okay.
Go.
Hunters, the Way of the Pathfinder, we have new combat provision subclass perk. It says grenade damage gives melee energy while making allies invisible with your smoke gives you grenade energy. Okay, I forgot a comma there. That's my bad. This creates an interesting synergy between your abilities. You get an indicator on your HUD when you generate ammo with perks.
No, this is
Ammo-
something different. You're just continuing to read, aren't you?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, but, no, it says respawn explain.
Do you know how that changes? I don't know how that changes Way of the Pathfinder, since I don't run a hunter or know what exactly gives you. Is that better or worse than what you have today?
It is because, okay, so grenade damage gives you melee energy, right? And your smoke grenade is your melee. So what happens is when you hit stuff, not grenade kills, mind you, just grenade damage, right? And that's the only subclass where hunters get like kind of a void grenade that acts like your solar grenades on warlocks, just kind of sits there, makes a damaging thing, right? It's not a one and done kind of thing. So while it's sitting there damaging people, you're getting back your melee energy. Well, you throw the melee at your feet or at your allies' feet or whatever, turns you invisible. That gives you back grenade energy. So that's the synergy that they're talking about. Grenade damage gives you your smoke grenade. Your smoke grenade gives you grenade damage. Also turns you and your allies invisible. Win-win.
Which is apparently better than whatever it does today, because I guess it does nothing. Because no one
It doesn't
runs
do that
bottom
today.
tree shadow shot.
That's it still does both of those things, but there's no synergy between the two. Your grenade still damages as long as somebody's stupid enough to stand in it, and your smoke grenade still makes you and allies invisible, but they don't build on each other. Currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can still do those, but they don't give you energy back and forth.
Correct.
Nice.
Okay. So
And the warlocks are getting a change, but they haven't told us at all what the warlocks are getting to their void. So some warlock gets something. We'll see in October.
Right.
Maybe it'll do the 3 splitting Nova bombs when you twirl around in the midair again from Destiny 1.
Can I have a Nova Bomb blade barrage where my Nova Bomb splits into a bunch of little tracking Nova Bombs? Speaking of completely overpowered supers, that's what I want.
No, you can't have that. So continuing,
or if your Nova Bomb had tracking, and also when it exploded, you got that it stays there damaging you. Because right now you got one or the other. It either stays there damaging a boss, or it has tracking. It should give you both.
No. I got it. Last thing. I want a Nova Bomb that when you shoot it just says, behind you, I'm coming for you, to all the Guardians on the other team nearby, just so they know it's coming for them. That's all.
Anyway, continuing on with the Armor 2.0 breakdown. So you'll get an indicator on your HUD when you generate ammo with the perk. So ammo packs on the ground will generate with a perk glow. So if you've got say a shotgun mod that generates ammo, you'll see that it's actually working. Whereas I think a couple of weeks ago we highlighted a video by Ft.Celestial where he tested. I think it was the 2 different ammo perks, wasn't it? It was the ammo finder and ammo reserves, and he was testing them. So I think this mitigates the RNG element of it because it actually shows you on your screen that perk's actually working or that mod's actually working.
Sure.
So ammo finders will be more specific, hitting down on the D-pad while inspecting your armor to show your appearance menu. So this is where you can then look at your ornaments and apply your shaders. That's the word, shaders. This will include universal ornaments to change the look of your existing armor, exotics not included, as well as your shaders are now separated into 2 pages. The ability to use your finisher on an enemy is indicated by a dot above the enemy's body, and teammates now show their class symbol next to their name instead of the character level. And super bars are now broken into 4 segments. And I think initially people were thinking that a part of your super was to use for your finisher. But in the Vidoc that they showed, when the guys used their finisher, they didn't use any of their super energy. But again, that was a build that we were watching. It could be part of your super that is used to use the.
Well, if you recall what
finisher.
he said some perks of the finisher, depending on what they do,
Yeah.
could use super energy.
So they could use a smaller kind of finisher, but yeah. So it's now broken down into 4 segments, and exotics can now drop with elemental affinity. So this is where we get into the part where Respawn wants to have a big rant. Armors will now come with an affinity with a weapon, and they are broken down as such. So with Arc, you have shotguns, bows, LMGs, pulse rifles, and swords. Void, you have hand cannons, scout rifles, sidearms, grenade launchers, sniper rifles. And for Solar, fusion rifles, linear fusions, auto rifles, submachine guns, and rocket launchers. So the specific burns of a weapon are not changing. So you can still have that Void burn SMG. But to use the enhanced weapon mods, you need to use the armor piece that is supported by that mod. So what that means is there'll be enhanced hand cannon loader that you have to use on a Void armor piece. But I think Luke Smith goes on further in one of his part 2 or 3 and clarifies this, that there are small arm reloaders which basically do what normal hand cannon loader does at the moment. So you can equip that on any piece of armor. It doesn't have to be part of the affinity set. So with this, I mean, the elemental affinity is just stopping people from collecting 1 set of armor for each element and then stopping at that. Because if you imagine that you get like the Arc, Solar, and the Void, and you unlock all the mods for every set, you only need 1 set at that point. You don't need to grind it out for any other sets. I mean, yes, you might want to kind of tweak your intellect, discipline, strength, mobility, recovery, and resilience. You may get different rolls from what you get.
Is that locked in stone once you set those, or can you change those after the fact?
You can upgrade the armor, but that's what's going to be dropping as random rolls. So something that you get from the EDZ is going to be lower than what you get from, say, the raid, because that's a pinnacle event, or Iron Banner, because that's being classed as pinnacle. So, you know, we're not 100% sure at this point in time, but we know that something that you say get from the EDZ is going to be low in stats compared to something you get from a raid. So say you've got the raid set and you've got the best possible set that you can get for Void, Solar and Arc, and you've unlocked all the mods. Where's the gameplay after that? You know, so this is why they're putting those affinities with those armor pieces. I mean, they said that it's a kind of test for now. I mean, they can put more mods in the system, they can unlock the mods. So this is what we're getting at this point in time.
But here's my thing. Are they locked? Meaning, okay.
Yes, for now they're locked.
So no, hold on. So in this example, right, a hand cannon mod is dropping as void.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that is it.
That's
a void affinity.
It's an affinity with that armor piece. There's nothing wrong with
you have to have a void armor piece to use that mod.
Yes.
Let's say I only use hand cannons and I'm going in, let's say the burn is arc, right? Well, I want armor that's strong against arc, but I can't use my enhanced hand cannon targeting unless I'm wearing void armor. That's
at the moment. Do you use spec for a whole void set if you're going in a void nightfall or something like that?
Yeah, I take a look to see what I have, to see what works with my loadout,
You
because
put a
all of
full
my
set on,
armors, all of my armors,
masterworked.
Listen, they're not
masterworked.
masterworked.
I'm asking you a question.
They're not
If you're
I'm answering your
me
question, but you're interrupting me before I can answer the question. So it's one or the other. You're going to ask, or you're going to let me answer?
I've got an answer.
Thank you. I don't masterwork them, no. But I do get the armor pieces that are strong against the burn. Whether it's 2 or 3 void resistance or 5 void resistance, all of my armor pieces have the void resistance for like a void burn. No, I don't masterwork them, but they do give me some protection.
So what's the issue with you putting on 4 armor pieces that are, say, solar resistant and 1 void?
Because right now we don't know what kind of setups they're going to be. What if all of my perks that I like to use are all different affinities except for the one that I need? You know, they shouldn't be locked. You should have a void hand cannon. You should have a solar hand cannon at hands. You should have.
That's what I'm trying to explain to Respawn, is that the affinities don't necessarily mean that much in this point of time, because at the moment, unless you're telling me that you've maxed, masterworked every piece of armor that you've got at the moment that you use, and you rotate that out to use that in certain, activities, let's face it, you only get a minimum amount of resistance from
a minimum is better than none.
From getting a full set. Right?
A minimum is better than none.
What they're trying to do is stop, it stops people from putting on, say, like a hand cannon and sniper or shotgun on those pieces of, like, say you get hand cannon on the helmet.
Sure.
And you get shotgun on the, where is it? The shotgun was arc, wasn't it? Yep. So you're going to have to specialize. So you're either going to have to go with working with your hand cannon, or you're going to have to go with working with your shotgun. So
I don't mind that. The affinity.
But that's why they're doing it. Because
you have yet to explain why they're attaching an elemental affinity. You can put it on different weapons.
Because
you can put all of them on the same armor piece, and that way you can't stack those.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't put enhanced hand cannon targeting and enhanced shotgun targeting on your helmet. That's why shotguns are arc, so it'll be an arc helmet. Void is going to be your hand cannons, and your sniper rifles are going to be void. But you're going to have to make a choice, either hand cannon specialists.
I don't mind making the choice between shotgun, sniper, and hand cannon. I mind making the choice between what armor I have to choose for that for
But
my
that's the-
resistances.
That's the only reason they've put those specific types in that specific affinity, is to stop people from like aping around the map in PvP.
Right. You can't be a specialist in everything at once. You can be a you could be a specialist in shotguns,
that.
bows, and
You can do that
So
same
what's-
thing without
so
adding
what's
an
the
elemental
issue?
affinity to it.
No, but that's
so
what they're trying to stop.
so you're not upset about the game change. You're upset about the way they changed the game.
Yes. I don't want
Why?
to. I don't want to have. Oh
Then
my
why
God,
does it
explain
matter?
this. Because
Why
if
does
you
it
have to have a void armor piece to utilize that void enhancement, right?
Yeah.
Well, I can't use that in anything that has a solar or a
Yes, you
freaking
can.
arc burn.
Yes, you can.
I'm losing out on the
burns
resistances if I do
burns
that.
are different than the affinities. You can still use an arc burn. The burns are not the affinities. You can use a void armor piece.
I'm saying if
with
you're
an arc
in,
weapon.
I'm
It
saying if
doesn't-
you're in something that has an arc burn, and you're wearing void resistance armor, so that you can have the void affinity perk,
it's
it's
one
not
piece.
meshing.
It's one piece that's not going to mesh.
So you can have 4 out of 5 as opposed to 5 out of 5.
And that's only for that one piece.
Is
What
it
if
giving
all
you-
the things? What if all the things that you like happen to be different elemental affinities, and now you're
then
just all over the place?
Then you literally play the game as it is today. Honestly, you play the game as it is today. I mean, that's.
I think you guys are
I
just
don't think.
being
No,
dismissive
no.
about this. They could
No,
have
no,
done the
no,
same
no.
thing without having to add an elemental affinity to the armor piece.
Right, but they're trying. I honestly think people aren't building full sets of armor and matching all of their burns to it.
Or even if they are, it doesn't matter if you have a full set of void hand cannon specialists, does it? And going into an arc or a solar nightfall.
You
know,
won't have
you'll
as much
get-
resistance if you did that.
No,
you
but
won't
you'll
have
get
any
resistance
resistance
against
actually.
the void. Yeah, but you're not going to be like one
You're
shot
still,
dead.
you're still getting the resistance from your armor. You're just not getting a little bit of extra resistance.
This is why they've added the specs of mobility, resilience, and recovery, intellect, discipline, and strength, because they want you to focus on those and not the affinities.
Right. The numbers of the perks on the armor are what you're going to care about. The tiny little bit you're getting from the affinity is not going to be what makes
Then
or
they
breaks
shouldn't
your
have
experience.
had any elemental affinity. They're introducing something
Well-
to cause problems needlessly.
You're not. They're making it so you can't specialize in all the weapons all the time. That's all they're doing. This is the way they've chosen to do it.
They 100% could have done that
I
10
mean,
different ways.
I mean, can you
10
run
different
around?
ways.
Can you run around with an enhanced shotgun perk, an enhanced hand cannon, an enhanced fusion rifle perk right now?
I
All
don't
at
know.
once, all on the
don't
gun? You
don't
can't.
know.
You've got to choose one or the other. You know,
Unless
you
they
can't
drop
have
on
an
different armor pieces,
You
technically,
can't have
I guess
enhanced.
you could.
all
No,
the
you
things-
can't. You can't do it now. You can only get one enhanced item on that item, or you could get two to drop on it, like on a an exotic. But you
Right.
have to select which one you want. So you can
Right,
either
you're still
go
making
for
a
enhanced
choice.
shotgun,
And that's
or
fine.
enhanced- But with the new armor setup and it going from 1 to 10, and if you've masterworked it, you can put an armor piece, or sorry, you can put in a mod that says enhanced hand cannon, and that uses up 5 mod slots. What they're trying to stop people then doing is putting an enhanced shotgun mod in the same like helmet for another 5. So you've got an enhanced hand cannon and an enhanced shotgun. So you're just an aping tank that's
What does that
running
have to
around.
do with the elemental affinity? You can just put
That's
those
how
mods
they're
in the
doing
same
it.
slot. If you put
That's
them in
what-
the same slot, regardless of what element that they're using,
You can't. That's what they're saying. You can't do that. That's why shotguns are for arc.
Yeah. Get off the affinities for a minute. They're breaking your weapons. You can have enhanced something in one of these 3 classes. You could be an enhanced arc, call them class A, B, and C. You can have an enhanced shotgun or an enhanced cannon, enhanced hand cannon or an enhanced auto rifle. You can't have enhanced cannons and shotguns. You can't have enhanced sidearms and bows. You've got to make a choice of what weapon you're going to specialize it and absolutely give the best top tier perks to at a time from one of each of these 3 classes. You can put other perks in to make your you can have an enhanced shotgun and have a slightly better hand cannon, but you can't have enhanced shotgun and enhanced hand cannons. You have to make some choices about which weapons you want to run. Yes, you can't be an all-powerful god that uses all the best weapons all the time. You've got to make some choices. They've chosen to do it with the solar arc and void affinities. Call them affinities, call them A, B, and C, call them whatever you want. These are the choices they've made of you've got to make some choices of what you want to make enhanced.
I get that. What I'm saying, I think where we're not meshing is, let's say you have 5 slots Take a piece of
Okay.
armor. That armor has 5 slots you can fill it in. Okay.
Okay.
To prevent people from having masterwork hand cannon and masterwork shotgun and masterwork sniper, right? All those can only be fit in the same slot. That way, if you have one in there, you can't put another one in there because it's the same damn slot within the armor.
Right.
You don't need elemental affinity. It doesn't have to match a void headpiece. It doesn't have to match an arc headpiece. You can just put them all in the same goddamn slot, and you can't equip more than one.
Okay, well, that's not the way they chose to do it. So they chose to do it with these 3 affinities. What's the issue?
It's overcomplicating it because now I have to have a void helmet if I want to use an enhanced hand cannon.
Like you're not going to have a void helmet laying around?
I don't know. What if it's not the armor that I wear? What if I just don't get the void drop for the freaking helmet? I don't know.
Then you continue to play the game because it's a looter shooter.
But what if your armor set doesn't get a void? I don't know.
You will get a void at some point.
They will. Yeah, they're random affinities, they're random drops. You will get it eventually. This is the point of a looter shooter. You keep playing until you get the loot you want. You're not going to have everything you want. You have to keep playing the game until you get it.
Whatever. I get your point. I'm just tilted that they used elements to do that instead of just putting them in the same damn slot. They've overcomplicated this.
So
in my
again,
opinion.
you're not upset about the change. You're upset about the way they've made the change.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Helmets.
Those Celestial, have you got anything that you want to say on it?
I've quite enjoyed listening, to be honest, because I was very very angry about this when it first came out, because I do want to be that all-powerful thing that can run around with shotgun loader and hand cannon loader, and it annoyed me that I wouldn't be able to do that, and it seems that we don't know exactly what decisions are going to be made of why certain things can't be paired together, and I do sort of worry about whether that will have any effects on funneling people further into a more meta build. But I can actually, I've been swung around a little bit just from listening to you guys. I can sort of understand why they don't maybe want people to be able to have shotgun and hand cannon loader, because then you are going to be too powerful. The energy thing, that's I don't really care about that, to be honest. Like you guys said, I've never spec'd my armor at all for the energy that I'm going to be using when I go into any piece of content. So I don't see that as an issue. It's just about the pairings of what you can and can't pair together is what worries me a little bit.
I mean, I think the thing is, at this point in time, you can't have hand cannon and a shotgun on the same piece. You have to make that choice. And I think where they've opened up the slots that you can then put in so many mods into that armor piece, they've then had to limit what you can actually put in. So that's why they've done the affinities. It's to kind of limit. Yes, you could specialize in hand cannon, but you can then hand cannon scout rifle will be fine. Hand cannon sniper rifle, which a lot of people do enjoy playing, will be fine. Or pulse rifle shotgun. It's kind of, you've got one long range, one short range. You know, it's...
And there's nothing to prevent you from running a hand cannon and a shotgun. You can still run those weapons side by side. They just won't be, absolute. And again, I think a lot of the, the enhanced whatever enhancement it gives you over like a regular shotgun loader, you're not going to notice for the most part, unless you're playing absolutely top tier content or you're in comp grinding for something. It's not going to matter for most folks. And again, you can still play the game as you do now and completely ignore most of this and not have the enhanced stuff and still play the game exactly as you always have.
And I do believe Luke Smith put out a tweet saying, if you want to have a hand cannon loader on an arc item, like on your arc helmet, then you can do that, but it will just be a small arms. Yeah, I think there's small arms, medium arms,
small arms was the one. You mentioned that.
That's not a good trade-off in my opinion.
But it'll cover normal hand cannon reloader that you would use now. So it will speed up the reloading or the targeting, but it will just be the same as like a normal.
Yeah, but I'm being limited when I don't have to be.
You're not limited.
You're not limited. You can't use the enhanced. That is a limit. That is the definition of a limitation.
You can once you have the armor piece. Now at this point in time,
they've just changed the grind from grinding for that enhanced a piece with an enhanced loader to a piece with one of 3 options on it. So it's actually less of a grind to get a 1 in 3 chance versus a 1 in however many perks there are on your armor second drop. So it's easier to get a solar arc or void armor piece you can slot a thing into.
I understand that, but they've still complicated it from what it could have been.
And it's going to be an RPG, so they're going to complicate everything. Isn't this what you were just saying earlier? You want more to this game than just a looter shooter? You want more complication, more stats, more numbers, more options? This is what an RPG is. You've got to make choices and trade-offs. You've got to min-max. You've got to build builds. You've got to make loadouts.
Oh, sure.
This
when
is
I'm making the point, this isn't an RPG. But when you're making the point, it's an RPG.
But this is an RPG element they're introducing into the game that you're now complaining about. And again, you're not even upset about the change. You're upset about the method in which they made the change.
I'm upset that they've added an element of affinity when there was none needed. Yes, that is what I'm upset about.
Okay, so if they had done it in a different way, you'd be fine with it.
Yeah, if they just said
the same requirement,
the same damn slot, I'd be okay with that.
So what does it matter?
Because
why do you care so much about
I've just spent 20 minutes explaining why it matters. If you still don't get why it matters,
no. I get. Well, you just said you were fine with the change, but not the way. But anyway, we've beaten this to a point, and we have many pages left to go. And
to be honest, they've only added the affinities so that people can remember what goes with what, rather than just going, "Oh, that Iron Banner helmet over there, that does those, but I can't then use that on my Raid helmet." Rather than complicating things like that, they've gone, well, Void does this, Arc does this, Solar does this.
That's a good point. They've made it more accessible. That's a really good point.
Right. So who wants to pretend to be Luke Smith for Director's Cut Part 2?
We forgot to cover our armor mod slots for the helmet. You get ammo finder and targeting. For the arms,
I did that further up. Yeah, for some reason I've doubled up on that. Sorry.
All right, moving on. Strike that. Reverse it. I can be Luke Smith unless Talons or Respawn wants to be.
Nope. You don't want me to be Luke Smith right now. Or maybe you do. What's more entertaining? I don't
know. Director's Cut Part 2. Here's where we're going this fall. The care and feeding of the RPG. Adding death. Yes, we're adding all the death. The care and feeding of the RPG. Adding depth. Improve customization. We want to give people who love the RPG aspect of Destiny, like many of us, more stats and depth on the character sheet to sink their teeth into. We've refactored a number of the stats in the game, we've overhauled the UI, and we've begun to separate capabilities from aesthetics. Destiny has and will continue to have weapons, armor, ghosts, ships, sparrows, and shaders that you can earn from activities to prove to the people looking at you, your character did the thing. What we are doing with the new armor system is saying, find the perks you want, find the look you want, pursue that armor to get the elements and stats you want, combine them to make your guardian. Destiny also has a microtransaction store that houses things like sparrows, ships, emotes, ghosts, holograms, and universal ornaments. The items in the store rotate and can be purchased with its Eververse. They have Eververse. Go there. You can buy things from Eververse. That's how you change the look of things. In Shadowkeep, these armor sets, weapons, ghosts, ships, and sparrows are coming from destinations and activities. Armor now has an energy reading. We've gone over all of this. Mods of energy cost or affinities that Respawn's a big fan of. When you acquire the mod in the game, it's like getting a perk you can put on all the armor. So once you've found that enhanced hand cannon reloader from a pinnacle activity, you have it forever. You don't have to continue to grind for it or hope it drops on something. It's just a small glimmer cost to apply it to that armor piece. Basically, stats are rolled randomly. You now have intellect, discipline, strength, mobility, resilience, and recovery. And I was watching a Ristophilis video that I don't think we linked below, where he was saying, looking at the video, saying, okay, if you have something with a, high intellect, discipline, but a low strength roll, is that always going to be paired with, say, like a high mobility, resilience, and low recovery roll? Like, are those sort of pairs? Or is it all 6 random things where you could get, completely out of the blue what you want? And we don't have an answer to that. We'll have to see once the game is live to us.
That would be absolutely bonkers. if all of them were random and they weren't tied to each other.
Right. Because then you could get all sorts of ridiculous things.
Oh, yeah.
And again, you're going to have to make some choices on what kind of build you want to do. Maybe keep those demolition weapons around. If you're building a build with the grenades, they come back a little slower. Throw a demolition perk on a weapon. That'll up your grenades and allow you to play more of a balanced game. And it sort of makes the point where you can play with the new mod system, or you can not play with the new mod system and move to it eventually. Basically, what they're saying is, those top tier players that have grinded and have those perfect armor sets and rolls and mods the exact way they want, they're going to be slower to move to the new system because they have what they want. the folks who either don't care or don't play that way may be quicker to move to the new system because it's new stuff for them to play with and experiment with. And they're giving us numbers. One of my biggest takeaways from the live stream we watched, there's actual numbers on things. I can tell when I put a mod in how much it changes my grenade or my barricade or my melee. There's actual numbers on things. It's not just bars where you have to guess what this means and what this does. So
That's a really good thing.
That's a nice change that I assume is, again, with the RPG game, you have to tell me, what does this do? How much does this improve or decrease my grenade respawn or grenade reload? Could be respawn.
I'm like, what? What do you want from me?
Every time I play the game this week and died and I see respawn in the corner, I'm like, no, I don't want to press a button. I don't want to invoke respawn. You can't make me. So, and Luke Smith is saying, here's what we don't want to happen. We don't want you feeling like the game deprecated all my old armor and perks. All the time I spent playing Forsaken, the annual pass content was a waste since all the perks on the armor you got were all turned off when Bungie forcibly migrated me to this new system. So that's not what they're saying, but again, through the course of time, that's what you're going to do. So they're not taking it away from you. They're just leaving it behind. So eventually you'll migrate to the new system.
They said that you can totally mix and match between new armor and the old armor that you currently have at the moment. So you may have a Godroll hand cannon reloader on your helmet that isn't void that you want to use with your void set.
Yeah,
you can totally do that.
Yeah, that was the only real saving grace I found from that whole thing.
So you can mix and match.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things. Yeah, you can sort of move to armor 2.0 at your leisure.
I do wonder if we'll see any really sort of funky builds there where they've moved some things around in the new system, whether you'll be able to sort of double down
that's a
with
guarantee.
old and new things.
That is a guarantee. Look, dude, just keep an eye on Cheese Forever's videos. I guarantee you'll see some crazy stuff.
It'll be fun.
No doubt in my mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just what kind of things you can mix and match with, an armor piece you have now and an armor piece you're gonna get and can spec out. Maybe you can't run 5 ordnance mods anymore and things, but you can find something even more powerful with that perfectly rolled old piece of armor and some of the new mods. It's gonna be nutty for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since no one else seems exuberant to read this, the pursuit of power, increasing player agency.
Well, I'm actually trying to find out where you are because
page 13.
Whoever did the bullet points this time didn't make it blatantly obvious like it has been the last couple weeks. So.
Yeah, page 13, right below in purple where it says Peroty numbers.
Ah, gotcha.
The first paragraph, the first bullet point below that.
Give me colors. I need colors.
I went with purple. I didn't know if that was one you could see, but I figured it was better than other things.
Yeah, no, purple's fine.
All right, purples. Pursuit of power. We'd like the act of chasing power and stats for your build to be something you have a little more agency over. Not a full-blown play whatever you want all the time, because that means people just find the most efficient thing rather than dipping their toes into a bunch of different activities, but certainly less restrictive than it's been in the past. Powerful sources in Destiny 2 ballooned during the annual pass. We're curating down some of those sources in Shadowkeep. Our target is to get the number of powerful sources closer to the Forsaken launch levels. We think that reaching max power can be a medium-term goal for power-progressing focused players. For those players, we hope the pursuit of stats and someday trying out new builds is their long-term goal. And Prime Engrams will be dropping once you hit 900, and once you accumulate, and you'll accumulate charges for them as you make your way from 750 to 900. We've increased the number of Prime Engrams you can earn each week and rebalance the value of each one to account for the increase in volume. Your world drops in Shadowkeep have a chance to drop at the player's current power level beyond the soft cap. So, for example, if you're sitting at an overall power of 912 and your gloves are at 906, you could have a chance to get a 912 glove drop out in the world with a legendary engram. So you won't have to just do powerful activities for powerful gear. There is a chance to bring you to your current level. It won't give you above that level, but it'll put things at the level you're at now. So you're no longer, hopefully, grinding as long for that one particular piece of armor that's sitting 15 light levels behind everything else.
But it's also this, right? Because what do we come across most of the time? You either get a powerful piece of armor, which is above what you have, or something that's really, really, really lower than what you have. So by them bringing out this middle ground, that is still, in my opinion, going to make the level grind like 10 times better. Yeah,
and just giving us less. I like the idea of curating down the powerful things, because right now it just feels like a huge task of things to go do every week.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that there'll just be a couple few of them. I can just go play the game, hang out with my friends, have a good time with it, And it doesn't feel like such a job. Okay, I have to get in. I have to go do this. I have to do this activity. Here's a powerful drop over here. I have to go do my flashpoint. I have to go over here. Let me just go hang out with a buddy on a planet, shoot some guys in the face. Maybe I get something good out of it. I like the more casual. I'm hoping this is, again, as we sort of talked about, they've really seemed to focus on what the streamers are looking for and playing at that pace. I hope now with Shadowkeep and New Light especially, having a free-to-play version, bringing in some people who aren't going to spend 80 hours a week on the game, they're switching that focus back and making it a little more accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
So, preparing for New Light. We want to get new players and veteran players colliding quickly.
Why is Celestial not reading that? Dude, you need to get involved. All right? You're the guest.
Hey, I'm just a guest. I leave you guys to read the main part. I'm just here for commentary.
Put him on the spot, dude. Look, this is you.
You've not done this to any other person. Why are you doing it?
No, he just talks over the other people and doesn't ask them a question and then proceeds to answer it for 15 minutes.
Actually, he's given Talons a little bit more room than everybody else.
When we had Nolis on here, I made Nolis read.
You also almost let Nolis talk a little bit, and she's the same way. You almost let him say a couple things.
No, with Nolis, I had to edit out. Literally, he would say something. You would then go off for about 5 minutes. I'd edit that bit out and then just edit him together. So it looks like he's one long sentence when really it was about 30 minutes of him saying something, you saying something, him saying something, you saying something. It was like that for the whole thing.
What's the problem? There's supposed to be a back and forth,
this is why our guests don't want to read anything, because they know they're going to get interrupted by you every 5 seconds.
I've been good. You guys have been reading. I'm just saying let somebody else read.
He has been pretty good this episode.
He has. Anyway, so they want to get new players and veterans working together quickly. So they're setting the power for this fall to 750 for both returning and new players. So here's what that means. Every single item in the game is being raised to power floor level of 750 when Shadowkeep and New Light launches. So October 1st, everything is going to be 750. So every item in your vault, every item in your inventory is going to automatically jump to 750. And they say it's like a free global burst of infusion for all players. So right now, you could and you should stop spending currency to infuse your gear or sets or that C tier weapon that you're keeping around just until the patch goes live and they say it's a good weapon.
That means you, Night Demon.
I'm not infusing anything.
I haven't been doing anything. Don't infuse those 17 guns you have of the exact same kind in your vault. Don't do it.
No, I'm now waiting till October 1st.
So I wonder if this was, I think Andy made a good point. I wonder if this is partially to stop the forge farming. If you're all at 750, there's no way to get down to a lower light, because I'm going to guess they're going to take all our collections up to or about 750 as well, or the 730 where they are right now if you're 750.
That doesn't even touch the forge farming, because like he said earlier, you still need legendary shards for infusion, and you still need enhancements.
Right, but how are you going to forge farm with other people that are AFK?
They're all 750 at this point.
Yeah, all of your gear is 750, or maybe 730 from the vault.
Oh my God!
All of your gear becomes 750. There's no way to have lower level gear.
Okay.
So if we're all 750, your collection's either going to be 750 or 730 where it is now. You cannot have any lower gear.
Then you're going to have people level 700 AFK farming.
Which you can't, because it's all 750 gear.
You can though. This is where new LFG is going to start existing, right? They're going to create LFGs for LFK farming.
I don't think they'll even create LFGs for it. They'll just do it at 750, and it's just unlucky for the people that get messed with them.
Yeah, but if they stay alive longer than a minute, you get sent to orbit. So,
So it makes the farming a lot less attractive. Which again, I'm sure that wasn't their primary reason, but I thought he brought up a good point where it's not just what you have; it's everything in the game comes to 750 now. Which is a nice level set for everyone coming into it.
I will say, I've been using my mask from the Festival of the Lost, so that has no power.
Your new 750 mask?
It's not going to have any power. Otherwise, I'm wearing that thing all the time.
Yes, if they bring those as Bungie, please bring those to 750. I want to run around as a chicken man. That would be amazing. I want to run as a Solstice Armor chicken man. Oh, that would be incredible.
You can't get those from your collections, right? Like if you've dismantled it, it's just gone, right?
No, it's in your collections.
Oh, cool.
I won't tell you where it is, but you've got to go and find it.
I have no desire to do so at the moment. So,
continuing on, They say there are many buffs coming, and it's tempting to spoil a bunch of them. So he's basically not going to tell us. At D2 launch, we shortened the power climb, oversimplified the game, made it too easy to get items, focused on bringing in new players, and hoped that players would pursue looks alone as their end game. They were wrong. So, in Shadowkeep, we're introducing seasonal artifacts, and they're going to be unique to each season.
And I like
So does that
I-
mean
I
your
like the
artifact
trend
just
of things coming-
disappears? How do they do that? Do they just take your artifact away?
It'd probably
you
just
get-
say it
you-
won't work.
Yeah, they'll either take it away or it'll be like your tiny box of raisins. It won't do anything. Then you'll
Okay.
get it. There'll be no reason to use it anymore because it no longer does what it's going to do.
Okay.
So this is going to be a new item that's going to be on your character, and I believe it's just below the ghost on your character screen. And as the artifact levels up, it can do a few things. So first, it becomes a source of seasonal artifact mods, unique mods that can be equipped only during that season with that artifact. These mods may bring new experimental mods or powerful mods with reduced energy costs, enabling players and us to experiment further in buildcraft space. Second, the seasonal artifact can reward players a power bonus, but that bonus is not applied to the gear, nor does it increase the power of the future drops, but instead to all of your characters. This is meant to give the players who can't or don't want to play pinnacle activities as the seasonal path to power. This way, even if a player doesn't play the raid, Iron Banner, or Redacted, they can still have a high power level for that season. Leveling the artifact to raise your power is meant to be a seasonal character growth. Each season will have a new artifact with new mods and change how you play, and power bonus will reset. In addition to curating the list of powerful sources, Shadowkeep will introduce pinnacle powerful sources. These sources are the only way to earn gear drops above 950 in Season 8, and they feel like the power system may benefit
See?
from a rework
That's what I was
further
talking
down
about.
the line.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Specifically, this is the only way to get above 950. Right there. Pinnacle events.
It said there where I just said it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but earlier you were saying the
Yeah, that's
artifact
just in-
also did that.
yeah.
Yes,
Earlier with
I've
him, maybe the
just said
artifact
that.
also did it, but
Yeah.
it's just the pinnacle powerful events.
Just the pinnacle powerful events, not the artifact.
No, but
What?
the seasonal artifact can reward players a powerful bonus, but that bonus is not applied to gear, nor does it increase the power of future drops, but instead to all of your characters. So it increases your, your power, but not
Yeah.
the bonus to the gear drops.
Right, but does increase it past 750? I think is our point of debate.
950. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
950.
it does. It's meant to give it says that they meant to give players who can't
Oh, okay. Well,
or don't want to
He
play
blanked
down.
out for me there for a couple minutes, so I think I missed a few words.
I think
would've
it's-
made that
yeah.
a lot clearer.
Because it's quite sort of says the only way to earn gear drops above 950, but not the
Yeah.
only way to get to
Ah.
above 950.
Thank you.
look at that reading. Yeah, there we go. See, 2 Brits. Now we have the power of 2 Brits better than 1.
Woohoo!
Although the
I
same
got 2
person.
dads. Wait.
Both of which have given you up, though. Oh,
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Let me get ready to be Luke Smith. Give me a second. Let me spit out my gum.
You're going to do a southern accent.
No.
turn off your
Find the right
Xbox.
spot.
Channel the power of
Director's
Luke
Cut
Smith.
Part 3 is
Focus
where we are.
on the podcast. Stop playing Monster Hunter World or
I'm not playing anything. I'm not
Okay.
playing anything. I'm reading other things. I'm
Director's
Googling
Cut
stuff
Part
that we're
3.
talking about and whatnot. I'm trying to educate myself while I'm not reading. Okay, yeah, this is where I'm at. All right. So Luke, what the? Sorry, my screen jumped
Was-
after I let go
I
of
was
the
gonna
mouse.
say, you can skip
Okay.
over that bit because we've already said Luke's explained in more detail.
We've already said that one.
Fine. General mods provide exactly the same effect. Provide exactly the same effect as hand cannon reloader, but it also affects other small arms weapons with a cost of 4 to 5 energy, depending on the mod, and do not have an elemental affinity associated with them.
Why did you stop? He could speed you up and it would sound exactly the same.
These general mods, or these general mods, of which there are 11, are unlocked for everyone automatically, so you can start to tinker right away. That's actually pretty good. Not the best, but that's pretty good. Basically, when you want to specialize your weapon, it requires matching your armor's energy type. And then you get an energy discount on socketing the mod. Wait, okay, so hold on. Wait. So hold on. So does that mean if you have the matching affinity, it costs less to equip? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay. If that works for enhanced as well, that would be nice, because that means I could also put a void on an arc. It might cost more,
No,
but
you
I could do
can't
it.
put a void on an arc.
Still,
We've been over this.
still can't mismatch it. You still can't mismatch the affinities. That's the system they've chosen to let you not match everything.
Peroty, how many more months are we going to go over this with him? We'll probably be in Shadowkeep. It'll probably get to December, and he'll go,
September
I can't understand
17th,
why I can't put this arc mod in this void slot. Why Bungie? Why guys?
Then why did he specify it'll give you a discount?
7 more weeks.
Why did
At
we
least
have to
7 more
specify
weeks.
it'll be discounted based on the
I
affinity?
don't think it'll stop then. No,
Are
you
you
get a
not hearing
discount
me?
on the
I said
energy
at least.
discount.
Exactly.
So
if it has to match, then there's no discount. That's just how much it costs.
okay, so
Right,
what
it
he's
has to
saying,
match, but you can put more powerful. Maybe you have something that costs 5 energy that you could put in with your 4 energy thing. That with you have a discount. If it discounts one of those, it'll let you put in a little more powerful things because one of the costs are discounted. You still can't be an overpowered god, but you can be slightly closer to it. That's what he's saying.
like the general mod slots for like hand cannon reloader, that are the small arms ones that cost 4 to 5 energy.
Mhm.
So that costs 4 to 5 energy. But if you get a specialization weapon, like the enhanced hand cannon loader, that'll only cost you like 3 or 4 energy. So it's lower than the general small arm mods. That's what they're talking
So
about.
you don't get a discount based on the affinity match. You just get a
No, but
discount because it's a specialization.
well, you get a discount on the energy, so
Right.
you can fit more mods in there. So say the small arm
No, I get what
weapons
you're saying. I was
cost
just
you 5
clarifying
energy.
that's what you were saying. Yeah, I got.
You've only then got
Follow
5 energy slots left, so you can only put maybe something really small and something
Yeah,
in the
I
extra
gotcha.
couple of slots. Yeah.
I gotcha. That was a verification. All right, cool. So, combat, the inevitable collision of action and RPG. We want the game to be an awesome power fantasy where challenge can push back on its players. The display values for damage for Shadowkeep rocket off the graph and become almost vertical. The inflation for damage is getting retooled this fall. Behind the scenes, we're setting up damage display system to last. Behind the scenes, we're setting up the damage display system to last. That sounds better. We are not nerfing your outgoing damage. Rather, we're refactoring the displayed number game-wide. In the game today, if you're 50 power below an enemy and you shoot it, you deal a big old donut, which I'm assuming means 0. Another change we've made for fall is that we've lowered raised the immunity wall to 100. This means you can now deal damage to enemies that are up to 100 power level above you. He said below, but I'm assuming he meant above you. Consensus?
Lowered, above. Yeah, because he wasn't sure whether he lowered or raised, but he didn't correct it the other way. Yeah.
All right. So buffs, debuffs, and stacking rules.
So I think this is where a lot of people were kind of on podcasts that I'd listened to the beginning of the week, where they were saying like Lunar Faction boots and Well of Radiance and all that is going to get nerfed. Rally Barricade, the new Ward of Dawn. They don't know how this is going to work because you can kind of stack this, stack that. So I think this is them saying this is how it's going to work. Did you want me to do that bit? I'll do that bit.
I mean, you can. You've already started it,
Okay.
so go ahead.
So the way damage stacking works in game right now is busted, and they admit that. Multiplicative damage combines with the exponential damage inflation above to send damage numbers to soaring heights, of which we cannot continue in this way. So we've overhauled the system under the hood, so damage calculations use only the most powerful buff on the player at a given time. It's got a nuance to it, though. If you're under the damage effect of something stronger than the Well of Radiance, you will still receive the healing effect from the well, but the damage bonus would come from other buffs, e.g., Lumina, Weapons of Light. We've made some changes to the debuffs as well. Debuff is an effect that weakens an enemy. We've touched the effects and durations of a number of them. These effects include Hammer Strike, Shattering Strike, Tractor Cannon, and Shadow Shot. Shadow Shots will now work on powerful weapons as well. In general, only one ability buff can be active on a player at a given time, and enemies can be affected by only one debuff at a time. There are notable exceptions in the form of exotics and weapon amplification perks, Kill Clip, Rampage, etc. The exotics and the weapon amplification perks will remain multiplicative, increase the damage and above the ability buff values.
Okay. So the only question I have, and I don't think he's addressed it, and this could be a discussion, is if we're revamping the whole damage buff or resistance debuffs, right? Does that mean that they're going to change boss battles? Because if you recall, he said once upon a time that they designed encounters based on how overpowered we are. Or if they're nerfing a lot of this stuff, and that, I mean, essentially it is a nerf. So if they're nerfing the damage output that we can do, does that also mean that they're going to redesign these encounters that have been designed around our damage output? Or is it just going to get flat out harder?
No, I think let's take the recent raid, the Crown of Sorrow.
Sure.
People are able to one phase the last boss,
Sure.
and that is basically due to the fact that we are overpowered. So I think with the changes that are coming with Shadowkeep, what's going to happen is that it's going to come down to teamwork and the way the mechanics are meant to work. So you won't, or you possibly could one phase the boss, but it's going to be harder to one phase. It's going to actually play to the game mechanics. You're going to have to actually do what's required, and it may take 2 or 3 phases to actually kill them. The same with Callus. If you go back and play that raid, if you're going to go back and get that armor set in the new 2.0 version, then it may take all 4 plates on one phase to kill him, or it could take 2 phases on all 4 plates. It could be 1 plate, 1 phase, that's it, over and done with. We don't know with the new system, but I could see like people taking turns what they actually do. You know, one point you've got like the debuff with the tractor cannon. So
Yeah.
let's say Crown of Sorrows, you tractor cannon his knee, you're standing your Well of Radiance, you're getting the damage, or you're getting the damage mitigation, you know, getting the healing, but you're not doing the extra damage to them from the tractor cannon as well as the well. So you're getting one half of that. So I
Right.
think
I know
people
how
are going to
that
have
works.
to,
My
yeah, but I
question,
think people are going to have to kind of work things out of if you are going to one phase them, it's going to be kind of working together. You know what I mean? It's going to be more
yeah,
planned
I
out
know what you
rather than
mean.
kind of just
I
hit the guy with everything we've got like it is
You're
now.
gonna have to chain your abilities and time them properly rather than just whacking everything down and hoping for the
Yeah.
best.
And here I was thinking it was going to be easier for the Frozen clan to do raids.
That's never going to happen.
Oh well. Dream
So
shattered.
they've got a simplified version that they go into. Say buffs that apply to a single weapon, say Rampage, Kill Clip, and Exotics, can still stack, but the buffs that affect all your weapons no longer stack. The most powerful of those buffs will be applied to your damage. And supers in Destiny were overly restrictive at launch, but now the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction, and they'll start to bring those back towards the center in Shadowkeep. They say that we want super kills to feel earned, and we want players on the business end of the super to feel like they can make a big play and put down that striker titan. So supers will be just as powerful, but they will be more strategic choice. We're reducing the effectiveness of orbs on refilling the super meter and reducing the super energy gained from kills and assists. So another slight nerf to how it was recently. So, you know, we've taken back some of the super generating armor pieces. Now we're going to take back some of the orbs. But, you know, you've still got things like bad juju. You've still got
Do you think
masterworked
that the bad
weapons.
juju is going to be more relevant at that point?
No,
Is that
but
going to be more of a meta?
you've got more of a chance with your masterworked weapons and your exotic weapons that give you more super, and then you've got armor pieces that give you super. You've now got all the new stats like your intellect, discipline, and strength will then all play a part in rebalancing it out. So in a way, it is a nerf to what originally was in year 2, but then you've got new stuff coming in that would then ultimately affect that. So you may not necessarily see it as a nerf once you kind of get to that, pinnacle power level. It
Well,
may kind of
I think it is a nerf, particularly for Crucible. I think maybe it's not so much of an issue for PvE, but it is a big nerf for Crucible, and it needed it. Supers are just flat out broken in Crucible, as far as I'm concerned. At the minute, there is nothing you can do. It's just a death sentence as soon as you hear one coming anywhere roughly in your direction. And I fully welcome this change to tone supers down.
I mean, they still say that supers are still very, very powerful in the PvE game. Players will just need to be slightly
They're
more
just harder to
specific
get.
with their timing.
Yeah.
No, I think the orb generation, you still generate a ton of orbs these days. And there's normally hundreds of orbs.
No matter how you justify it, that last sentence makes it harder to get your super. There's no way around it. If you get less
Right.
energy back from kills, less energy back from orbs, less energy, no matter how you justify it, that last sentence says
They're bringing the
definitively
game
it's going to be harder to get your super back.
right, and they're bringing the game back into more balance with that change. When they launched the game, everything felt weak, everything felt underpowered. Now we've gone fast. We've made everything into insurmountable gods. Now the game is too powerful. We need to bring the game back a little bit, and this is a good reset, especially as people come into the game. Like imagine, your friend says, "Hey, come play Destiny with me. It's free to play now. We can jump into Crucible. We can have some fun." And you're just getting steamrolled by super after super after super, and the way it is right now, that's not a good experience. That's just going to make me delete the game and never come back to it.
And
So
that's
I
another
think
thing.
I think really, reining them back in PvE and PvP is a good change for the game because it'll make the content feel a little harder, and you can actually enjoy playing it a bit more than just jump on the super train and stand in this well and never have to think about what you're doing.
And when that YouTuber, we had this discussion about, he says, I feel like Crucible is just me running away from supers. At the time, I said I didn't feel that way. I hadn't experienced that. But since then, I don't know if I was just made aware of it or if now I'm hyper observant of it or whatever. But lately, now when I play, now I'm also starting to feel that way. There's just supers everywhere, And I don't know if that's just a matter of perspective because now he put the thought in my head or if it's actually like that. But yes, I am on board with the whole in Crucible. There's just everybody's got a super except you.
yeah, pretty much the moment they start coming, it's all over. If you're on the losing end of that super train, you're done for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they haven't said that it's going to be reset to Destiny 2 Year 1. It's going to be somewhere in the middle road. So it's not going to be too bad. And and the amount of orbs that we drop these days, I bet you very rarely see it in PvE. There's going to be too much of an issue. But as Celestial said,
there's enough ways to make orbs. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So they're also making some changes to heavy, which you were quite happy about, Celestial, weren't you?
Yeah, that's my other bugbear. The three things for me are supers, heavy, and the speed of balance patches. So heavy changes, another one fully welcomed.
Well, by all means, let's explain to everyone what these heavy changes mean, Celestial.
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. So they are making heavy ammo go back to how it was in Destiny 1, where it's communal rather than for a single person. So if you want to get your team and group up around the heavy box before you pull it and everyone gets it, that's cool. I like that particularly because then it gives everybody a chance rather than just having one person snowballing the game by getting heavy, killing everyone, going back, getting more heavy. They're also looking
Initially, was it like that in Trials? I seem to remember at some point in time in this game that was the thing. No, I'm asking. That's a question.
So Trials was kind of, it was the same thing. Everybody got it when you pull it, but it was only on one round. It wasn't available all the time. It was something like round 3, I think, had heavy, and that was it. And there was actually an option if both teams agreed to waive it off, and then you wouldn't have heavy at all, which was just the perfect game. Less heavy, the better. So the other things that they're doing, they are reducing the amount of ammo per brick that you get for PvP, which is again a nice little tone down. So they not got somebody running around with a hammerhead for 3 hours shooting everyone. The only difference they're changing, actually mentioning back to the sort of communal pulling of it, it is going to have a little bit of a window of time for everyone to grab it. You don't all have to be standing there at the exact same second.
I think with Destiny 1, you had to be within like 20 meters, didn't you? You had to be in the
It
vicinity.
was, yeah, like 20 meters, and that brick would stay on the floor for like
Yeah,
5
you couldn't
seconds or
be
something.
on the
Yeah.
other side of the map and still have access
Oh,
to it.
yeah.
You had to be quite close.
Yeah, I definitely remember screaming at both Frozen teammates and Blueberries going, wait, I'm almost right there. And they pull the heavy right before you get into range. And it's like, well, you guys get heavy and I'll just stand here and look pretty.
I mean,
Yeah,
they say this is... Sorry.
Go on, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, they say this is for 6v6 playlist. So I was just wondering if it might be Iron Banner as well, because that's a 6v6. That's all I was wondering.
I would imagine it will be for Iron Banner. Yeah.
Now we're gonna have to edit you asking all these damn questions, Demon. Damn it, let the man talk.
Yeah, always cutting in.
Right? But on the same token, right? This sounds pretty cool.
See, here he goes.
But
I'm all for it.
No, listen,
It's
I'm all for it
It's a good
too.
change. And I miss the D1 way of not one
Yes.
person gets heavy and you can actually spread it around a bit.
Until the entire enemy team all have heavy.
Right, but you have less of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's it's going to be less of it.
I'd much rather have 4 guys have 1 rocket than 1 guy have hammerhead from now until next Tuesday.
Okay. Well, one guy, when he gets it, he gets 2 rockets. Now the whole
As it
community
is-
gets it. Now there's 6 rockets. You've increased the rockets
You
on the
get
field.
less. You're going to get less heavy out of the box. You get 2 now. You'll probably get 1 going.
Yes,
In
but
Shadowkeep.
6 people getting 1 rocket is still 6 rockets on the field instead of 2.
Fine, I can outrun
Yeah.
rockets.
That's what
I'm
I'm
But
still-
saying.
I'm still
the
good with
difference is that's then 12 rockets on the field. There's 6 on your side, 6 on their side, rather than just one person on their team having 2 and your team having nothing that you can do about it.
Right.
I don't know if they've confirmed whether it's going to be 2 bricks available at the same time like they did with Destiny 1, though. That's the only issue.
Oh,
Yeah.
that could be an issue.
Yeah.
Hopefully
They
they
haven't
go
said
back
it
to
here.
full Destiny 1.
Hopefully they will, because I hope they've learned that lesson. But yeah, we'll see.
There's a
We
lot
will
of
see.
people saying a lot of hopes in this sentence. In this,
Well, right.
this-
That's all I've got left. I have
Yeah.
to cling to hope.
Yeah, I mean that's all we can say. They're not going to tell us exactly what they're doing. We're going to have to wait till October and see. So, and again, I think it's just like the Whisper of the Worm. If they do it and they say, okay, this is so broken, we have one heavy box. It's leading to one team winning and losing every single time. Let's have the second heavy box. Let's do what we did before. Let's relearn that. Hopefully they don't have to relearn that lesson, but they may have to. And if they do, we hang tight till they do. But let's get to the many things we still don't have from Destiny 1. All the missing game modes.
Dun.
Go on, Celestial, you carry on.
You want me to carry on?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that they're talking about in those Destiny 1 missing modes are the changes to trials, which they changed so much. It went from 3v3 up to 4v4. It really was quite a lot there. There were some cool parts. They said the Emissarigo was pretty cool. She had their own little environment. They could go climbing up the towers. Some of the gear was pretty potent as well, but Trials of the 9 didn't really work the way that they'd hoped for. With that being said, Trials of the 9 is on hiatus indefinitely. I'm going to point out in there that there's the interesting part is that they put the emphasis on the 9. I think that's kind of alluding that we're going to get Trials of Osiris back, or some variant close to it.
So let me do the YouTuber version. Trials returned confirmed. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We're not getting Trials of the 9 back, but we're getting Trials back in some form, probably as a 3v3 elimination again. If not immediately, they're definitely moving in that direction because that's where we're going next. But no Rift. Still no Rift. We don't get to have a spark and dunk it. Is Rift just gone forever?
I miss Rift as well. I don't know why Rift got all the hate that it did. I really enjoyed Rift.
Yeah, I enjoy this option. At least as a rotate, I look through this list, going, okay, they're bringing that, but no Rift. Rift is nowhere to be seen. Did the guy who developed Rift left to take all the code with him? I'm very confused about this.
He took the patent with him.
Right? Yeah, he's like, I'm taking my spark and I'm leaving. You can't have it. It's my spark now. Yeah, I'm just like, why bring everything back but Rift? I don't get it.
So Talons, tell us what's going to happen this fall.
This fall, they are making significant changes to the PvP portion of the Director. In Destiny 1, players could run a couple of strike groups, team up for a raid, and then play 6v6 PvP, or they could split off into 2 groups and play 3v3 PvP. But with Destiny 2, they decided to kind of completely break that pattern and instead had PvP being 4v4. So if you decided to do a raid 6v6 and then decided to split off into a PvP activity, 4 people get to come along, 2 people have got to sit on the sidelines. Bit of a shame. So they are looking at revising the playlist quite a lot. So quick play and competitive nodes are being removed from the director. Instead, they've added a classic mix as a connection-based playlist, which is always great. And that classic mix includes Control, Clash, and Supremacy, unfortunately. Competitive is being replaced by 3v3 Survival, which now grants glory. They are also going to have a solo queue for competitive 3v3 survival, which I think is great. I think that's been missing from the game for such a long time, a solo queue. Particularly being 3v3 survival just makes that absolute best. I'm incredibly happy with that change. Don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on competitive right now.
Well, I did have something on competitive, but go ahead, Peroty.
Oh, I too am very happy because I tend to solo in competitive, get my light up a little bit, play my 3 to 6 games a week. So I'm happy to jump into that solo queue playlist and jump in there with my other solo friends. So even if we get stopped, we're getting stopped by 4 random people versus 4 working as a team.
The only thing that I had, right, and this is before the whole maybe Trials is coming back discussion, was he still didn't really mention anything with the, how can I say this? So with New Light, there's going to be more players, right? Obviously, Crucible's going to change in that aspect. There's going to be more people in for various reasons. But without any kind of confirmation, I'm not really, it seems kind of disheartening to me because all the sweaties are still going to be in the quote unquote regular playlist because there's nothing Trials-ish for them to go to, because there's nothing that gives them specific armor or specific weapons or specific whatever, redacted, fill in the blank, however you want to phrase it, that's going to encourage them to go and do competitive, right?
Yeah,
yes,
but they won't be able to go into solo survive queue, though, will they? Like you can.
Why not? Are you saying that just because he's a good player, he can't go into a solo queue?
They can't do like a 3v3 stack solo.
Yeah, they can still play the competitive, but they have to play it. Yeah, I mean they can still jump into what was quick play, the classic mix. They can still jump into classic like everybody else, and yeah, they're going to be in that world.
Yeah, a sweaty is still a sweaty. It doesn't matter what game mode he's playing.
You may get the sweaty on your team though, and you'd like that, wouldn't you?
No, when it comes to coin flip teams,
yes, you would.
I'm not the greatest when it comes to that kind of luck, RNG, whatever. Is it possible? Yeah, but here's my thing. I still would prefer something for them, and even me, because I did play Trials, right? To go do something that's worth a reward more than a pinnacle weapon that once they're done, they're back in regular playlist.
Well,
with that pinnacle weapon, kicking
they're
everyone's
not talking
ass.
about it yet, but there may be pinnacle rewards or maybe something that you want to get out of it. They just haven't told us yet.
Yeah, there's definitely something coming. Trials is going to come back. Probably not day one, but we're going to have something back in this upcoming season of Shadowkeep.
So, shall we let Talons continue?
Yes, continue.
Sorry.
So, as well as the classic mix playlist and the other changes to sort of the competitive playlist, there's also going to add a specific 6v6 control playlist, which is a good place for you to jump in with some brand new friends that you brought along to the game. And there's also a weekly 6v6 rotator and a weekly 4v4 rotator, which I'm really confused about because I thought we just agreed a few sentences earlier that 4v4 kind of broke the pattern of the game.
They're still hanging on. That's what that is.
Not sure why that's there, but
they
okay.
want to be really
Somebody likes
sure.
But at least it's a rotator now, and it's not a all the time thing. It's an in and out kind of whatever, right? So there's some people out there that enjoy the 4v4, I guess.
If you want to play 3v3, but you've got that one guy that just wants to hang out with you for 4, you can go into that playlist.
The respawn of the group just doesn't want to go away.
the fourth wheel that you just tag along, or I mean, it would also sort of be nice. You're running.
A fourth wheel is a good thing. That's a bad analogy, man.
Depends on the vehicle you're driving. That's all I'm saying. My ship has no wheels, so I don't know what to do about that. I mean, the only thing I think about that is it would be nice if you're running Gambit or something with 4. I was just thinking of all the 4-player activities, Gambit, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, you could at least jump between Gambit and that with a stack of 4 if you were hanging out.
That could be what a sword could be for Gambit, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just and maybe getting something, you know, whatever the redacted thing is, maybe that'll be a 4v4 thing. So maybe you could take your group of 4 and go somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, it does seem weird to say this didn't work, but we want to be really sure. Maybe they're thinking again with all the hopeful influx of new players. You've got 2 or 3. You can get that 4th guy. You say, hey, come play D2 with us. It's free now. It'll be fine. You know, you won't get stomped too badly. So I don't know.
Cool. So the rotator playlist, the 6v6, the 4v4, there we're going to see modes like Clash, Supremacy, Mayhem, Lockdown, and Countdown is in there as well, which is interesting. They've also removed some underperformer maps from matchmaking, which I didn't actually know until I read this. So there you go. I've learned something too. The best part of the news is that elimination is coming back, and with 4 variants to start us off in the Crucible Labs sort of things as a sort of battle to see which one is best. I'm really interested to see what way they go with that, because I don't know of much more they can do apart from the revive tokens and heavy differences. So 4 modes is quite interesting. Let's see what they do.
Melee's only.
Melee's only. Interesting. So along with testing those new elimination maps, they're going to bring back some familiar maps to try them on, like the good old days. We're getting Widow's Court and Twilight Gap coming back. And there are also changes to matchmaking. In the game today, Quick Play is the only playlist that doesn't have some version of skill-based matchmaking in the game. They're preserving that behavior, connection-based matchmaking, in the 6v6 Classic Mix playlist. And the others will presumably have some sort of skill-based matchmaking in them. We've also refactored how players gain glory ranks with these skill match changes, so that it's sort of based on your representational skill as well as your wins and losses. So perhaps if you perform really well in a game but you still lose, you won't lose quite so much glory as you would have previously, which is pretty positive, especially for that sort of solo queue playlist that they're looking at above.
That sounds good.
And some general quality of life changes to Glory, Valor, and Infamy to make losses less punishing to streaks. Perhaps you might get some sort of grace period where you don't lose your streak immediately on a loss or something. Who knows?
All good things. Yeah, I'm also very curious to see what they bring to the elimination, and I'm happy to see the 2 maps back. The Twilight Gap remains a Striker Titan's dream. Just running back and forth on those hallways and shoulder charging people was no end of fun. And Twilight Gap, I never did very well on because I always got sniped from afar, but I'm happy to see them coming back. It seems like they're just going to be an elimination to start with. So, but it's at least nice to see some maps coming back, and maybe we'll see some actual new maps going forward, maybe. Hopefully.
That would be nice. Getting some new PvP content would be good.
Yeah, and especially if they are going to change the number of people on the board, I don't want to play a 3v3 match in a map built for 6. That's you could hide in a corner and never see. You know, we go back to Trials hide and seek, and you never see the other team.
Yeah.
Have we got anything else on PvP?
I did, but when I started to talk, Peroty.
No, yours didn't count. So, an evolving world. During season 8, a new situation will unfold on the moon. Over the course of the season, parts of the game will change before the situation accumulates in an event that will ultimately resolve it, and the content will be exhausted. So, very similar to what we had with Forsaken and the Dreaming City opening up, and then the raid opening up more stuff. Sounds like this is what's going to happen with the moon. So, they say, but this resolution sets up the events in season 9, which again adds something new to the game and resolves it. Something that
will also go away. Gosh,
that too. No, but it's something that too will all go. That doesn't make sense. Something that too will always go away.
I know.
Something that will go away.
Did you copy and paste? You shouldn't copy and paste.
I did copy and paste.
Yeah, of course he copy and pasted. You think he's going to write all this?
Yeah, I'm happy to see some progression to the game world. What do you guys think? I mean, up until now, you go and you kill a god, and you come back the next day, and the god's back, and you kill him all over again. It'll nice to see something changing again, getting a little more of the RPG aspect. You go do a thing, it has some consequences.
Oh yeah,
So
big fan.
they say something that will go away, but not before the setting up season 10 and etc. This year, we will see events that last for 3 months and offer new rewards to chase. Although at the end of the period, some of the activities will go away. For a time, the rewards will too. But we will also acknowledge the part of playing Destiny is collecting all of the stuff. So in future seasons, the weapons, the legendary armor associated with the season activities will be added to other reward sites. So that sounds quite good, rather than just kind of them disappearing forever. Again, technical limitations aside, we also don't think making a game that grows forever is Destiny's path forward. Peroty, you had some thoughts.
I've shared those thoughts. I'm happy to have something happen in the game that matters.
Okay, I think that's that. Now we've got this week at Bungie.
Yeah, but hold on.
Oh,
Respawn has
Yep.
thoughts.
okay.
What, am I not allowed to talk? Just let me
You
know.
can-
I'll go back to
you
eating.
can talk.
No, I'm just saying you have
All right.
thoughts.
Because every time I've said something, he's like, "Yeah, you don't care." But this to me seems like another one of those things where you have an expiration date on stuff. You know, they're talking about, you know, pressing out all this content, you know, wham, bam, thank you, man, boom, 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 boom. But right here, hey, in 3 months, it's going to go away forever, or at least for a time, right?
Yeah,
They're restricting themselves. Leave
but
it open.
it's like the Redrick Broadsword or the Redrick's Claymore.
Yeah.
So it came in that first season, and if you didn't get it, you couldn't get it the next season. But then they brought it back in the season after that you could then do a longer thing to get it. You know, longer quest. So
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
it's very
As
similar to
long
that.
as it's not gone forever. If it's like a rotational kind of thing, cool. I just don't want them to disappear forever because
I mean-
people out there get busy with life, games, etc. They shouldn't have to miss out just because of bad luck. Or
Yeah, well, I mean, there's already a ton of stuff that's gone forever in the game. So, what's adding a little bit more to it?
yeah, but earlier I was discussing about how I'm not a fan that all that stuff is gone. You know, because new players should be able to access those things that aren't here anymore.
Well, but then going back to the you had to be there and you had to try hard at the time. What's the point in grinding and getting those new things if anybody can just come in and get them?
If you've already got it, it shouldn't be open to you, right? But the event should be available to those that haven't done it.
Unless they miss the time on it. I'm poking the bear here. I'm sorry.
It's all right. This is we're talking in circles. I'm a firm believer that they shouldn't put an expiration date on things. Events like Iron Banner that you know for a fact they're going to come back, put a week expiration on there. It's going to come back. But things that are going to be gone forever should not have an expiration date. You know, they shouldn't be gone forever. You shouldn't restrict, you know, for when people come into the game. Because, like, what if you're talking to your friend? Hey, man, did you hear about the Gallahorn? Yeah, man, that's great. I love that thing, dude. But it's too bad you can't get it anymore. And he's like, but wait, I was going to buy Destiny. Well, you can still buy it, but you just can't get the cool weapon that just excited you. Sorry.
So, this
Thank
week
you.
at Bungie, for the 15th of August, 2019,
We have part 1 of Luke Smith, part 2 of Luke Smith, and part 3 of Luke Smith.
yeah. And then they also tell you that Deej did a stream telling you about
Yeah.
Armor 2.0. Stats, mods, appearances, and more were discussed throughout the stream, as we've covered in our 6-hour-long podcast.
And now we
But-
get to the most important part that I will let 19 tell you all about.
No, you can do it. I'm worded out now.
You don't want to talk about the Levante Prize, the most
No.
prestigious fashion prize in the entire universe, awarded in honor of the original Guardian outfitter Eva Levante. We're going to have a fashion show in Destiny. Each month, they will hold a fashion show, and the winners will earn this sweet emblem. That's all you need to know. It's actually a pretty good emblem. A lot of these emblems I'm looking at, I'm going, this is sort of terrible. I don't really care about this. Looking at you, Lord of Wolves one. But I am excited for this emblem. I will probably not participate in the fashion show because you can only wear Dusk Dawn in so many different ways. But I'm excited to see where this goes, and I appreciate that they've given some sort of weight to the fashion game. I think it's a good thing. It's absurd, and I love it.
Is the only thing that they'll allow in the fashion show, by the way.
True.
So you know.
That would be my fashion
So
show.
now we have what everybody's waiting for. We have what everybody's been waiting for. Parody's preparation guide cross-save.
Yay!
Peroty's going to sit you down and tell you what's next on the roadmap.
Did you not listen to the show last week? We talked about this on the show last week.
I know, but they tell you more stuff.
www.bungie.net/crosssave. Our next stop on the road to Shadowkeep is Crosssave. Next Wednesday, October 21st, Crosssave becomes available to all players of Destiny 2. They've been doing some testing on their side to ensure a smooth launch. They also recommend safeguarding your Steam account. Two-factor authentication is your friend. Get it, use it, love it. Next Tuesday, August 20th, Steam linking is scheduled to go live for all players on Bungie.net. They will then allow you to migrate your Destiny 2 account from Battle.net later this year. And again, if you're going to play the game on Crosssave or on PC at all, going forward, you need to go to Steam. Go to Steam, there's a Bungie support page. It'll tell you how to do it. It'll tell you all about setting up Steam Guard, two-factor authentication. Do it. It's easy. It'll make your life easier. Especially if you are of any kind of visibility, do it because you don't want your account to get hacked and bad things to happen. It's a big pain. Crosssave, August versus October. Again, August 21st, Crosssave goes live. When the features goes live, we'd like to set expectations about how the Crosssave experience will evolve following the launch of New Light and Shadowkeep on October 1st. When Crosssave launches, Crosssave-enabled players will not be able to access expansion destinations or activities. You can't access the new annual pass content on platforms you have not bought the annual pass content. For example, if you're on Xbox, you enable Crosssave, you go over to PC, you still have to buy the extra content on PC to play it. Your powerful rewards. When Crosssave launches, players who earn gear on platforms where they do not own Forsaken will receive that gear at below Forsaken power levels until Forsaken is purchased. So you can still earn the gear. It's just going to be really low level, so you have it, but it's not really super useful. So, for example, if you have a Crosssave-enabled player at a 750 character level, you own Forsaken on your Xbox, but not on PS4, you'll receive all your powerful gear drops at 380 on the PS4 while cross-saving to your Xbox until you purchase Forsaken on that PS4. The power restrictions will be removed in the update 2.6.0, which launches with New Light and Shadowkeep later this year. DMG has a brief note about the patch for Reckoning rate drops is planned for early September, so keep an eye out for that. And finally, you, us, people of all ages, guardians of all types, we have made it to tips, tricks, and guides. Thank you for bearing with us this long. We appreciate it.
Before we get into tips, tricks, and guides, I have the best tip. I have the best tip.
Ooh, hot
This
tips,
is one
and hot takes. Houndish exclusive.
This is one that I have thought of myself.
This is a fresh Night Demon tip all the way from the UK to your ears. Let's hear it.
So, August 21st, Crosssave is enabled. Yes, so that's Wednesday.
I believe so. Yes, the 21st of August. Yes, that's 8/21 or 21/8, 22nd in the lovely land of Australia. Mm-hmm.
If you're not on PlayStation 4, but you have a friend who has a PlayStation 4, badger them, hound them, get an account on PlayStation 4, jump on there, go to Xur on Friday, buy the Fated Engram, and get the Wave Splitter. Then jump back to PC or Xbox.
Ooh, hot Wave Splitter tip.
Don't know if it's going to work. It may still be shut off until September, October, but if you've got all the other exotics, you should technically be able to jump on a PlayStation 4, buy the Fated Engram, and it should drop you the Wave Splitter like it did accidentally a couple of months back for Xbox players, because it's only available on the PlayStation. Just saying.
Good tip. We'll see if it works, or if you'll get your 17th Graviton Lance.
So now you can move into tips and tricks. Sorry.
So now tips and tricks that don't come straight from the mind of Night Demon. Ninja Pups, the best way to farm Bright Dust in the Season of Opulence, and tips for Shadowkeep. Basically, you can go and pick up, there's an Eververse bounty for killing Hive mini-bosses. You can buy it for 3 bounty notes. The quickest way to do this is load into the Crown of Sorrow. When you load into that raid solo, you can kill about 8 knights in that first room per run. It'll take you about 2 minutes to finish the bounty. Go back to Eververse, pick it up again. With 12 bounties completed, you'll have about 1,000 bright dust. It takes you about 35 to 40 minutes of gameplay. Again, loading times may make it longer or shorter. If you don't have a bunch of Eververse notes, and he had, I think, 350 Eververse bounty notes, so you may not have a big bounty note stack if you don't have it. Do other things, but it is a really quick grind to get through that bounty. It'll give you a whole bunch of bright dust and materials. Jarv has a mod components farm, which is very similar. So you're going to go into your collections, and you're going to basically empty out all 3 of your weapon slots. You're going to buy 9 of each of these. The Lionheart as a primary, Harsh Language as a secondary, and Weaver Sea as your heavy from your collections. You're going to buy these because they come from adventures, and they have a greater chance of giving you mod components. You're going to dismantle all of them. You'll get about 5 components per every set of 9 you break down. Again, this is all RNG based, but the cost is actually pretty low. So you're going to purchase things for 3 glimmer. I'm sorry, you're going to purchase all of these guns for 250 glimmer and 3 gunsmith materials. You're going to get 150 glimmer and 2 materials back. So basically it's costing you 125 glimmer and 1 gunsmith material every time you complete the cycle of buy it, break down, buy it, break down. So pretty decent mod component farm. You'll want those to buy the new mods from Banshee come Shadowkeep. Cheese Forever pointed out that Zur is selling the exotic Stronghold for the Titan, which is an annual pass weapon. So maybe annual pass armor piece. So I wonder, and he wonders, are those now in the loot pool just in the game, or is this an oopsie from Bungie? Unfortunately, it gives you the Clenched Fist, which is guarding with swords, increases move speed, and does not drain ammo. Shots blocked immediately after guarding will heal you. So it's not a great Titan exotic, but if you don't own the annual pass, it's out there for you to buy from Zur this week. Fallout, he's a terrible person. He has a handheld supernova controverse hold OP PvP build. Basically, just think of Shaq screaming, throw more grenades behind you, and that's basically what this build is. Your controverse hold gives you damage resistance while you're charging your handheld supernova. Your charged void grenades returns a small amount of grenade energy. He runs a helmet with ashes to assets, which gives you more super energy on grenade kills, and an ordnance grenade mod in everything. He also has boots with enhanced bomber, which speeds grenade cooldown when using the class ability, and a demolitionist weapon. Basically, he runs around the map, throwing handheld supernovas at everyone and everything, and cleans them up with his, I can't remember which, I think it was a fusion rifle he had with demolitionist, but have demolitionist on something, clean them up with that, you'll throw grenades for days. Aztecross has a chopper gunner build, using the Lion Rampart, which gives you the jump jets for accurate hip fire in the air, the last word, a hip fire weapon, and the Orwing's Maul, just for damaging people and cleaning things up. With a quick access sling for swapping to the last word very quickly. Add an enhanced hand cannon targeting mod in your armor piece, and use the strafe lift because the catapult jump will lead to Titan Floof. Basically, he jumps in the air, fires your Orwing's Maul with a blinding grenade to sort of do some damage and hurt people in the area. Then he switches to the last word, cleans them up while in the air with all the enhanced targeting from the air, and murders everything. So Chopper Gunner, check that out if you want to jump around like a Titan. Cool Guy has the Keanu Greaves build, which is a Titan with Peregrine Greaves, and then matching that with Sturm and Drang. It's ideal for the Sunbreakers because it'll give you the Temperamental, which is your solar ability kills, grant you and your nearby allies both movement and reload speed, which is basically run around, shoulder charge people, and then use Sturm and Drain to clean up the kills. As he says, jump in there, clean them up like John Wick. Kimmy Cakes, in my deep love for auto rifles, he has a breakdown of the sweet business, and I just saw earlier he did one for Suros Regime as well that he references in this video, saying, the sweet business with the Catalyst and the Better Already perk, it'll give you health back on double kills, because when you pick up those orbs, give you a little bit of health. Combine that with your mid-tree Striker Titan for Inertia Override, which reloads weapons and increase damages when sliding over ammo. Your Actium War Rig is an absolute must for this build, as it reloads 10% of your magazine, which is about 10 bullets every couple seconds as you run around. So you're basically a mobile turret of death. It's not the most effective option if you're playing competitive or trying to win a lot of games, but it's a lot of fun just to run around with.
I don't know. To me, that seems way more terrifying than
but the time to kill
builds.
Yeah, I don't know. The time to kill on it though is really slow. It's good. It's good for laying down suppressing fire, but the time to kill with the sweet business is just not great. And also, Armor 2.0 means I can finally have an Actium War Rig and apply auto rifle perks to it. Because having an exotic chest piece that gives you, say, sidearm ammo isn't exactly great. So that's basically all I took out of the Armor 2.0 thing is you can now put auto rifle perks on the Actium Warwick. And then just
So
do you
they
want to
have
talk about our
some-
hunter builds?
Yeah, I was going to say they have
I didn't
some
leave them
hunter
out
builds
completely.
here. Since they can't, quick draw for hunters. Since they can't cancel swap animation with jump, quick draw is the next best thing. How can you cancel animation? Start to pull a shotgun up, jump, and a Titan Warlock will instantly have the shotgun ready. Okay. Well, there you go. Kami Cakes, the only kinetic shoddy with quick draw. And we have a link for that. It's a threat level from Scourge of the Past raid. Cool. And then Kami Cakes has the best shotgunning build for a hunter, which is also linked. And it has Mindbender's Ambition with quick draw paired with any hand cannon. And there you go.
So would you like to go through our clan focus since we actually have a clan focus this week that I did not just pull out of the air?
Yes.
Someone actually emailed the show with a clan, no less.
So we do have a clan focus. Like you said, the guy sent us an email that said, "Hello, my name is Shane. My PlayStation name is Draketh12. That is Delta Romeo Alpha Kilo Alpha Tango Hotel 12. And I'm a part of the clan Over-Powered-Ness. So overpoweredness with dashes in between. Or OPNS on the PS4. Haha! A friend of mine came up with it. He said that, not me. Anyways, I've been listening to your podcast for quite a while now, and I'm loving every bit of it, especially the parts with Respawn. I also feel the same struggle as Respawn in Crucible with Titans. Shoulder Charge has killed me more times than I can count, and we're always looking for more Guardians to join our clan. And listening to your podcast and doing a clan spotlight, I thought, why not? Here is a description of our clan. OP in PvP and PvE equals OP-ness. We are OP-ness in just about every activity we do. Raids, Nightfalls, Crucible, you name it, and we get it done. We aspire to beat the best in any activity, as cooperation always leads to victory. We do not put each other down. We help each other grow. Now, hold on. Do you help each other grow by putting each other down? Because I find that that's a great motivator. When you put somebody down, they get motivated to prove you wrong. Works every time, except when it doesn't. So, all we want is to win with a bunch of chill and fun people. Our clan consists of people mostly 18 or older, so I expect a lot of harsh language. Come join us. We are based on PS4. There are a bunch of us around Central, Eastern, and Western time zones in North America. We also have some clanmates over the pond in Europe, so there's not really a specific time we all play together. We just play when we can. Yes, we do let flat earthers join our clan. Well done. We just might have a little fun with them, but we mean well. I can be the contact info if anyone else has any questions. Draketh12 is my PlayStation name, and I'll also add another admin to that list. His PlayStation name is Galm_2 spelled out. So that is Golf Alpha Lima Mike _ Tango Whiskey Oscar. Thanks again, Draketh12.
And we'll put a link to their clan in the show notes, or just go to Bungie.net and search Overpoweredness. Thank you for writing in. Thank you, Draketh12, for giving us a clan to point people to, especially on PSNs, because you saved me from having to do Night Demon's homework of going and finding one myself. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
For real.
And we have one bit of feedback. I just want to give Lost 2018 LOS 2810 a shout out. He said, "Love the show, guys. Keep up the great work." And Respawn British has nothing on classic American Night Demon. So clearly listens to the show. If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to episode 29. Really just the first 20 minutes. You can skip the rest of it. The gold is right there up top in the front.
It really, really is, though.
And with that, Andy, I would like to give you a special shout out this week. This will be our longest episode. I want you to enjoy each and every moment of this 6-hour opus that Night Demon will lovingly handcraft for you, or he might just give you
3.5 hours.
The raw feed. It's hard to say.
I
It's
think
not
it's
gonna
going to
be
be
that long
wrong.
once you
We
edit
just
it.
like
Honestly,
editing
you
out
should
the
make it
swearing from Respawn.
You should make it well, I was passionate. I didn't mean to lose my cool.
The 2-hour respawnless
you
edition. I also want to give a thank you to all 21 people subscribed to us on YouTube. So I am slowly becoming a YouTuber
Oh,
one
we got
person
21 now?
at a
No.
time. Yeah, we have
Oh,
21
so-
whole people that listen to watch the show on YouTube, and my deepest condolences to all of you.
For
Well,
real.
I think we found a replacement in Celestial Talons for when one of us is on holiday. He
Mm.
can step in and take charge.
You
There we
mean
go.
we found your replacement?
Yeah.
That
Okay.
authoritative British voice is what we were lacking.
Right.
And with that, thank you for joining us. Your Titans this week are Peroty and Night Demon. Your Hunter is no one respawns in real life. Your man of many classes and mysteries, Celestial Talons, has joined us as well. You can email the show at twotitansandahunter@hotmail.com. You can hit us up on Twitter at twotitans_hunter. Find us on Facebook. Find us on YouTube. You can join the Frozen Clan or go join Overpoweredness over on PS4. You can find your favorite Guardians on Xbox Live. And you can probably find Celestial Talons over on the PC. So watch the show on YouTube, listen to the show on Podcoin, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, everywhere fine podcasts are sold. And Guardians this week, give us some love. Leave us some reviews on iTunes. Leave us reviews on people. Go to people's house and just scribble 2 Titans and a Hunter on their front door. Let people know about the show. I want to thank you all for joining us this week. The heat stroke has gotten to us. I think we've covered all the news. And if Luke Smith puts out part 4, we're done. Say goodbye, Guardians.
Deuces, purples.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Is he still here? Can I talk about him behind his back yet?
You can, yeah, I'm going to stay here and listen, but you can talk about it.
But that just kind of defeats the whole purpose, man. Get out of here so I can talk about you. But yeah, no, it was.
I
Enjoyable.
apologize for thinking you were Australian. For some reason, my brain equated you with one of the Aussies we had in the clan before.
Wait,
I
was
don't
this
know
the
why.
guy you were talking about last podcast? Was that this guy?
Yeah,
I think I
absolutely.
deleted it out.
Yeah, I think you deleted it,
I
but
didn't even tell him.
well, that's fine. I went,
Australian.
for some reason,
Australian.
Well, for some reason,
I was
it-
talking about you in the podcast, and Peroty went off on a complete tangent about letting Australians in the clan. And it took me a while to realise that he was talking about you, and I was like, "He's not
which
Australian."
which again, I'm not sure we'd ever interacted in the game, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. I'm not from Australia.
I had something that I really wanted to say, but now I forgot it. Oh my goodness.